Yes. How you doing? Great. My man Thomas doing.
What's up, brother? How you been, guys?
Great. Great, man. Everything's going better than expected.
Awesome.
You gotta raise your expectations.
Yeah. A lot of witnesses in here today. A lot of legal notices were served. Nobody responding to us. Participating in the administration. All the time. You guys should have got some shirts made, you know? Would have been a benefit to us. After all them legal notices you guys got. The next paperwork isn't so nice. Be serious, Sam.
Here he is. How are you? How you been? Likewise. Everybody's got first-hand knowledge. Next paperwork isn't so nice.
Call order to the meeting. Let's all stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
advise the public that notice and time and date for this meeting appeared in the notice dated January 5th, 2024. This notice was sent to the Burlington County Times, the Courier Post, the Pine Barrens Tribune, as well as the Central Record newspaper as a legal notice and sunshine notice in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. It was also posted on the bulletin board in the town municipal building.
Record of attendance.
Mr. McNaughton.
Here.
Mr. Sprague. Mr. Moore.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Stone.
Present.
Mayor Hartman.
Here. President Department Head.
Mr. Lees.
Here.
Mr. Burns.
Present.
Mr. Haynes.
Present.
Mr. Boyd.
Here.
Mr. England.
Present.
All right, before we do public comment, I got a lot of complaints from last meeting, but a lot of people were talking out loud, a lot of information was missed. I ask when you're sitting down, please be quiet, and only talk when you're called upon to do your 4 minutes. I'll give you one warning, and after that, I'll have you ask to leave the meeting. All right. Public comment, who wants to go first? Mr. Ward, please state your name.
Raymond House of Ward, Tabernacle, New Jersey. On July 3rd, 2023, God's people came home to resurrect this once God-forsaken town. God bless Tabernacle, New Jersey. By God, we the people shall prosper once again in these lands. The truth will make you free. You all, and by that I mean our trustees and servants of the public trust, have 2 options. 1, to make historic town hall safe, which would have been a massive benefit to us and what is in the Constitution, which you swore to. Or 2, to demolish it, which is not a benefit at all. You've been served hundreds of cease and desist. Demolishing our historic building is not an option, as it is not a benefit to us. You were informed repeatedly by legal notice. A total of 241 legal notices were sent to each board member in regard to town hall and other township affairs. We have the right to remove you from your positions at any time for the danger of maladministration. We the people are the grantors of the public trust. We are the beneficiaries of the public trust, and we are the trust protectors. So I'm gonna read the preamble of the New Jersey Constitution. You still got your copy, Mark Hartman? Did you read it? Do you use it when you do this job? I'm asking a question. You said you had to answer a question. Do you read this? You swore to it. We the people of the state of New Jersey grateful to Almighty God for the civil and religious liberty which He hath so long permitted us to enjoy, looking to Him for a blessing upon our endeavors to secure and transmit the same unimpaired to succeeding generations. Do ordain and establish this Constitution. Public Officer Burns, you're a man learning the law. We're going to read this Article 1, Paragraph 2 of the New Jersey Constitution. All political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit, and have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. Now is the perfect time. Can we get a raise of hands for the people in favor of abolishing this local government? Who wants to alter or reform this thing? You got the right to. If you ain't standing, you don't got a town. It's pathetic. We're participating in a municipal government right now. This is the lowest form of government. However, we are still guaranteed a government which is Republican in form. This means all power rests in the people through the representatives. Our employees and elected officials are bound to the people and the constitutions. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution. The United States shall guarantee that every state in this union, Republican form of government. Guaranteed. You guys are committing treason over and over again. We've notified you. Total 241 legal notices were sent to each board member by the people in regard to maladministration pertaining to the town hall, shared services agreements, overspending, and other township affairs. No response by affidavits were received. Why won't you respond? Why can't you respond by affidavit sworn under penalty of perjury that these claims are not true? I'm talking to audience. Why can't you answer? Treason. Treason against, this is Article 1, Paragraph 17. Treason against the state shall consist only in levying war against it. The state is a body politic that's built up by all those people here. We're the state. You guys are levying war against us. Ignoring
Thank you,
the
Mr.
voice of the
Ward.
will
Mr.
of
Ward.
the people is unlawful.
Mr. Ward, thank you for
Ignoring
your
the
time.
highest law is no excuse.
Mr. Ward,
Running
please.
against the Constitution is
Mr.
treason.
Ward, this is the first warning.
It's fine.
Do like to make a
Commit the treason.
Please take your name.
Your phone.
Yeah, thank you. Go on, Phil.
Lance Saunders, Seneca Reserve. I wanted to make just a quick statement because we got notice of Resolution 2024-50 with releasing Rockwell from the bond. And as I stated last time when I was here, I made the statement, I made it twice today, I said, good judgment requires accurate information. So I say this again because our basins aren't, our rear basin is not operating properly. When this resolution does pass, hopefully it's not tonight, I hope you table it until we get more information. I know you can't answer questions until I'm done speaking. However, food for thought is when the resolution is approved, who is responsible for issues that arise during the 2-year maintenance guarantee period? Who would determine if there are any issues and who would be responsible for correcting any issues during this 2-year period? Will the township inspect the basin during this 2-year period? So I can forward you those questions if you like, hopefully you'll table it. But these are the questions that when I'm reading a resolution, we have to have the answers to. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Go to the next, to the next one.
Scott, we could only get a crowd like this with the tree lighting, I'd be very happy, so. Thanks for everybody for coming out. He does demonstrate a lot of, Mark Lemire, 32 Washington Way. Actually, it's great to see the turnout. Obviously, it tells you that people are listening and people are, have certain opinions on certain issues, and obviously everything you do that does affect their lives to some degree. Well, I want to thank you for your service. I know it's not a tough job, and there's difficult decisions to be made, occasionally, so. But of course, the people are here because they obviously want a voice as well. I actually come here in 3 capacities. The first capacity I come to you in is the volunteer as the director of the Recreation Committee. You know, one of the reasons I volunteer in that is that being a resident of town, I always really thought that we had to do what we had to do, every one of us, to try to maintain the character of this town. I think everybody in this room loves this town. So I stepped up and said, you know what can I do to help? And so we have a couple of different events, the tree lighting, we have the Memorial Day Parade, certainly like to have others. And again, the whole intent here, the only reason I volunteer to do that is I try in my little way to try to keep this place glued together. So people have a sense of community, a sense of center, and that's really going to be the operative word here, a center to the town. What is a town? I mean, we're 50 square miles, 7,000 people, disparate in a lot of ways economically, all over the map. So again, to find some touchstones, some things for us to coalesce around, I think is absolutely critical to any town. And in a rural community like this, agricultural community, we have very few of those. Of course, one of the reasons I'm up here is because obviously the decision was made to destroy or to take down the old building. And I think I'm here to ask you to revisit that. And again, as somebody who volunteers to try to keep the town center intact, I think it's important that you make that consideration in your decision. That's one. I also come here as a second capacity, and that's on the Land Development Board. I've been volunteering on the Land Development Board for some number of years. I'm incredibly proud to be on that board. I think everybody takes that responsibility very, very seriously in trying to keep this community sound, keep it consistent, make sure everybody is held fairly no matter what they want. So I think it's very important that we do the job we do. One of the outflows of that, as you know, is we do a re-examination of our master plan. And if you look at the master plan, this was distributed to the committee last year. Our number one goal here, the number one is to reestablish Tabernacle Village as the township's mixed-use community center and revitalize the township's US 206 economic corridor. But the very first thing here, that body of us, 10 volunteers as well as our professionals, is really saying the number one thing that we think is in the heart of this township is to try to establish or maintain the community center of this town. And I think everybody in this room would believe that really revolves around our current township building. So again, a lot of effort went into that, and a lot of thought went into it. I think it's the reason it's number one. I think it's very important to everybody. The third capacity here is a resident. I've been here for 25 years. Again, I believe it's a very unique town. Got a lot of friends in the audience, and just a lot of acquaintances. And I think the character of the town is unique for New Jersey, for Southern Jersey. I think it's just a very, very extraordinary town. And once again, looking for touchstones, and we have very few of those. That I think is very important that this body consider that when they make a decision like this. It may be an economic decision you made, it may be a safety decision made, it may be some combination thereof, but it's very, very important you realize that, as evidenced by this crowd, this is not trivial. This is not trivial. Decades from now, when the generations after this generation are in this town and wondering where the center of the town is, they're going to point to an empty parking lot. Having our, and getting back to our recreation committee, having people coalesce around a Christmas tree in an empty parking lot, or have a parade that ends in an empty parking lot, is certainly not going to help them to find that character. So thank you for your time, and I hope you revisit that decision.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Hi, Jason Ledowitz, First Report. I want to start by throwing you guys a bone. Maybe it's the only one you get tonight, so I hope everyone appreciates it. I was not at the last meeting, but I did read the agenda ahead of time. And of the options that were proposed of what to do with the town hall building, yes, you made the fiscally responsible decision. Of the 4 options that were the 3 plus 1, it was the least expensive. However, you can't look at it just in that context. First of all, a lot of people here ascribe a lot of historical value to that. You can't just ignore that. Secondly, perhaps more importantly, in the context of this 8 to 10, I don't even know how many millions of dollars, new town hall center that you're looking to build, that other than 1 or 2 people, I've not heard anybody really say they want this. If you had spent, I believe one of the options was $2.5 million to refurbish that building, that would have been a hell of a lot cheaper than what you're looking to build. It's just completely wasteful. You're spending a lot of money for something nobody wants, as Mr. Lanier stated. Where's town center going to be? It's just a mistake. We really need to revisit that. We need to do something with town hall. I personally, Mr. Moore, I believe last year we had the first post-COVID meeting that was in person. You said you wanted to hear from the public. We're telling you, we don't want a new building. We want you to figure out how to save the old building. I personally don't ascribe much historical value to that building. I've only been a resident here for under 15 years. There are many multiple generational families here that do. Basically, respect, keep going on, but really, we need to revisit this because we built a new facility that people don't want. It's gonna raise all of our taxes versus a fraction of that to save the building that people want. Think about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Denise Hudson, Goose Pond Road. First of all, I sent emails to the people who had voted to demolish, and Natalie was the only one that answered my email, and I do want to thank you for that. Now, old buildings have intrinsic value to our community. If you add new life to a beautiful historic building, you will give the gift of history, culture, and education to future generations. You will be preserving a link to the past while improving our town's future. Our buildings have seen a lot of history throughout the years. They have witnessed the highs and lows of our community and may have even hosted some of these events. While we might not read about our town's history in textbooks, our historic town hall tells its story, and it would be a loss if our community couldn't hear it. We need to add to our history with saving town hall. The preservation of historic buildings is a one-way street. There is no chance to renovate or to save an historical site once it's gone. This reality brings to light the importance of saving town hall, because once a piece of history is destroyed, it is lost forever. Now, as Mark was saying, Tabernacle's 2023 master plan, the number 6 objective, states preserve and enhance areas with historic and cultural value. The number 1 objective states reestablish Tabernacle Village as the town's mixed-use community center. Tabernacle Town Hall is the cornerstone of Tabernacle Village. Please reconsider your vote.
Kim Brown, Wyatt Road. Good evening. Unfortunately, we live in a disposable society. If it's broken or in need of repair, we as a society tend to discard the item and buy a new one. However, history is irreplaceable. Take a minute to think about our town. How many historic buildings still remain? If you demolish Town Hall, you're removing a critical piece of our community's history. Town Hall served our community as a place for people to gather. Government agencies were not the only ones to meet there. The Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, TAA, Historical Society, Women's Association, and junior mechanics have all used this building as a meeting place. Numerous couples have been married inside of Town Hall. Town Hall has hosted the Strawberry Festival, tree lighting, Memorial Day events, just to name a few. Tabernacle Schools once sponsored trips for 3rd grade students to tour Town Hall. Town Hall was once a place where people went to dance. In fact, many of our residents have not only danced there, but also met their future spouse there. Town Hall is more than just a building. It is a major piece of our history for our community. I will concede that George Washington did not sleep there, but it doesn't lower its historical value to our community. Please reconsider your decision to destroy this pivotal piece of Tabernacle history. Sometimes the past is worth investing in. Allow our children to experience real history in their own backyard. Thank you.
Anyone else about that?
Everybody must talk tonight.
Mr. Wood, please.
Mayor Hartman, Deputy Mayor Stone, members of the board, my name is Steve Wood the Fourth, 4 Speedwell Road. I served on this committee in this town for 9 years. I was mayor or deputy mayor for the majority of that time. I sat in that very seat, contemplated the same building. Actually brought on Scott England at one point to walk through to kind of figure out what we're gonna do. This building, we passed the bond referendum in 2015, had a referendum specifically for improvements to the grounds. It was for the Pepper House, it was for putting concrete in the basement. It was also for doing minor improvements to the building. But this decision has been kicked down the road long enough, and now we're at a point where we've got to make a decision. And frankly, any project in this town, whether it be Olson Middle School, whether it be improvements to Town Hall, whether it be the ESB, those decisions have been made by referendums from the voters. The voters own the building. The voters should make the decision about what to do with the building. If the voters want to spend $4 million to improve Town Hall, they should have the opportunity to be able to do that on the ballot. And if that ballot is denied, and they say tear it down, then you tear it down. If they say yes, they want to spend their tax money on improving Town Hall, then they have to be given the option to do that. I don't think it's fair for any committee to have to make this major of a decision on behalf of the 7,500 residents. This is a big piece of our town. And any major building project we've ever had in this town has been with the voters' either approval or disapproval. And the last one was the ESP. The very first time I ran, that question was on the ballot. And it gave the committee the blueprint to be able to decide where to go from there. It's fair to you, but most importantly, it's fair to the taxpayers that are in this room. Thank you.
Anyone else think about that?
Keep it coming.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Stephen Kramer, 1000 Old Indian Mills Road. I've stood before this committee before, usually with my rescue squad hat on, but tonight I stand before you to represent my day job. Tabernacle kid, teaching Tabernacle kids history. As a history teacher, what I'm really doing is trying to connect our next generation to our collective story. I teach research, civic engagement, context, content, but it's all connected to that story. 4 years ago, I began a series called Where's Mr. Kramer Wednesday with my then 5th graders to help them work on those research skills while getting to visit places in our American story while at home, given the hand COVID had dealt us. I also started every social studies lesson with one of those YouTube videos somewhere in Tabernacle to connect our local story to our larger one. Those 5th graders are now my 8th graders. As fun as it was traveling the country with them, and just when 170 episodes in, I thought my YouTube days were over, they asked me to come home and tell them more about our local story. They asked me because they could easily connect their own stories to the local ones, and that made them more tangible. That request led to me beginning Talk Like a Local Tuesday, a series where I walk my 6th through 8th graders through the stories and places that make Tabernacle a Tabernacle. Another trick of the history teaching trade is connecting your young historians to something they can touch, something they can see, something that is part of their own story. Hands-on is just better than reading for my middle schoolers out of a book sometimes. It just made sense to start season 1, episode 1, in front of the old town hall. A touch point for everyone in this community for the last 150 years. We learned about the Junior Order of Mechanics, how it came to be town hall, and that the committee had plans to save it for future generations. In September, that was correct reporting. I was at the meeting 2 years ago when some of these discussions began and the reports and costs were laid out. Demolishing the centerpiece of downtown, a connective sinew in our collective story, wasn't on the table. Stories and committee members have changed, however, and now I stand before you as someone whose life work is teaching our collective story to our children, asking you not to demolish such a large representation of it. I'm not naive. I value the discussions being had, the options being weighed, even the need for you to balance the many residents you represent. But the civics teacher in me must ask, did you hear this community outcry and heed it? Many, like me, were not aware that such a large about face from the plans to save it discussed 2 years ago were being considered. It wasn't even on the agenda. As someone who was here for what felt like 2 years about a conversation about backyard chicken ordinances and every outcome that it could have, it seems that this is hasty and fast-paced, and about something far more important than residential poultry. It appears now that the bids to demolish have come in and are costing far less than expected, some as many as 6 times less than expected. I know there are various issues with that, but it tells me that the estimate to save the building may have the same potential savings. 6 times less than the expected of those costs, put it closer or even less than what the committee felt was acceptable to demolish it a mere month ago. Those numbers alone caused me to pause, and I hope they cause this committee to pause too. A pause to let those in and out of this room who want to work with you to find the funds to save it. A pause for the financial diligence that bids that far off from estimates should trigger. A pause that our town hall and our collective story are worth, in my humble opinion. I too live in an old farmhouse that was on a sandstone foundation that needed this kind of work. I am thankful every day that we made the call to save that part of Tabernacle story, and that I call that place home. It can be done. I hope this committee can pause tonight and do the same work to save a much larger part of our collective story. Thank you. Thank you.
Ryan Jeffrey, House of Sherry. As seen in all 50 state constitutions, which you swore an oath to the New Jersey one, I speak tonight as one of the people. We need to address some things, and tonight I come asking. So, I'll go over a couple of things with you guys. Because we're answering questions now, right? How do the estimated cost of the new town hall reflect the commitment to the economic welfare of Tabernacle's people as per our constitutional principles? And given the significant financial burden of our small community here, can you explain how this expenditure aligns with your constitutional duty to act in the people's best interest? In planning this new town hall, how have you ensured that the voices and concerns of township residents, the people, have been adequately considered and addressed? Can you detail the process that led to the decision on the new town hall's budget, ensuring transparency and adherence to our oaths to serve the public welfare? Because, you know, the thing is, on this destruction of town hall, we got a problem here. Because that was never considered. It doesn't align with any of the documentation of your intentions. And how does that decision on town halls align with your obligations set forth in Article 1, emphasizing the rights and powers that are inherent in the people? In light of your oath to uphold the Constitution, how do you justify potential maladministration in managing the town hall, given its importance to our community? You guys were put in charge of that. It's sitting derelict, where we're talking about destroying it, right? That you're in charge of our property. So, reflecting on our Republican form of government, how have you engaged with the people to ensure their will is represented in your decision-making process regarding the town hall? Because, I don't think we have. Now, when you swore to the New Jersey State Constitution, you also swore to all 50 state constitutions through our federal union. So we're going to take a little trip to Virginia. Section 3, it mimics our Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 2, where it says, government is instituted for the common benefit. The government is, or ought to be, instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community. Of all the various modes and form of government, that is best which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety, and is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration. And whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community hath an indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as be judged most conducive to the public will. Now, I came to you guys a few months ago and I urged you to act right because we're watching. I repeat that notion.
Thank you for your comment.
I made copies of my comments to help your clerk and to help you guys follow along, but also to make sure that I get answers to my questions, so they'll be right in front of you.
And they agreed to answer.
One second.
And they agreed to limit our speech to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Stuart Brooks, Moores Meadow Road. You said you'd answer questions and address public comments. Last meeting you didn't. I expect answers to these comments. Here are 5 reasons to rescind the demolition of historic town hall. First, residents want it saved, and you'll be forever reviled if you demolish it. Second, demolition violates the master plan. Town hall is the heart of Tabernacle Village. Others have testified what's in the master plan. It's right there in my report as well. You've completely ignored the master plan. Third, demolition isn't a money problem, and it's opposite to your village green problem. This is the plan that you made a couple years ago. Based on Pannoni's estimates, you now say that the cost to save town hall is too high. But Pannoni's estimate is similar to Reagan Young's when you bring it up to current value, add the cost to move the building, and compare apples to apples. You knew Reagan's costs when you planned Village Green. You endorsed them by posting Village Green on your website and making it phase 3. Reagan's costs were in your ballpark then. Why is that cost suddenly too high now? And if the full rehab is too costly, why didn't you consider the minimal fix, extending the life of the building for 10 to 15 years and getting alternate funding? I'm told, and you've been told, that alternate funding is available. There's also $500,000 left over in the bond ordinance 2015-10 that's specifically purposed for town hall improvements. But you didn't discuss any options or any funding possibilities. You went straight to demolition, and that's wrong. If you think the total rehab and the minimal fix are both too expensive, well, how did you plan on making town hall the centerpiece of the village green plan? Well, what was your plan? I won't accept an answer like, well, we didn't think about village green's costs, because you actually had the costs from Reagan's estimate. And I won't accept that you spent the time and money on that plan that you now just made meaningless if you demolish the building. You spent 3 years planning municipal facilities that still have no comprehensive plan, schedule, or budget. Demolition of town hall isn't part of any comprehensive plan. It's a thoughtless knee-jerk response that diminishes Tabernacle. Fourth, you made a snap decision. Tom Boyd said he inspected town hall monthly. He didn't report back to you. He gave you no timetable for action until your February 26th meeting, when he said he needed a decision that night or by March 11th. Supposedly, committee members Hartman, Stone, and Moore all had planned absences on the 11th, but they never mentioned them, and because of them, the meeting was canceled. It's unreasonable for Mr. Boyd to demand action on such short notice. It impeded full discussion of a complex and very important issue. As a result, you mistakenly made a snap decision to demolish. Fifth and last, rescission's the right thing to do. The goal is to make a good decision. Demolition's a bad decision. It's still possible to do the right thing. You'd be applauded for it. Rescind the resolution to demolish town hall, find a way to save it, and do something positive with that site. All of this means pause what you're doing. Take the time, think it over, get it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Please take your name and address for record.
Mike Callahan, Littleton. Right? And you're in since you're a little baby, how that, that's how long I've been here. But this township, and I'm not knocking anybody, has been great, so understand that. I feel you guys have done a good job. You always have negative, you understand that. And I won't use the word asshole, how's that? But what we have to do is be more open, meaning sending out like stuff in your mailbox and stuff like that, just to warn people, you know, because this is my first you know, and if you did that, I think you'd have less, you know, and I feel very strongly, I love this town, you know that, right? And I've met more people who get upset because they have moved. All right? So what I'm telling you is, you're doing a great job. All right? She never smiles. See that thing? She never smiles. And this is what I like to advise you. Take it good, take it right. You understand that? Okay? And these people here, you chose to be out there, okay? And I don't knock you. And I hope you're doing to me, I think you're doing a great job, okay? So, you're really not assholes, you understand that? I had to say, okay? You don't know my town, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rick Franzen, 3 Deer Trail, President, Tabernacle Historical Society. I have 3 topics that I'd like to discuss with you tonight, all within reference to the town hall. First is permitting. I see you have on the list on the agenda tonight the vote on whether or not to award a contract for the construction of our town hall. You have not yet filed a permit with the Pinelands Commission to do this. That is something we must do. I spoke with them today, with Ernie Deeman, and he said, yes, you do have to submit a permit. Some have said that, well, you might not need the full permit if the building is declared unsafe and inoperable, and that is actually somewhat true. You still have to file for the permit, but you have to ask for the director of the Pinelands Commission to grant an exception. The permit still has to go through the process. And then it'll go before the full Pinelands Commission, and they will decide whether or not a permit for destruction can be offered. Second issue I want to talk about is the 2015 bond issue. It's been said by some that you may think you're going to use money from that bond issue to take down our town hall. While you possibly can do that, I point out to you, as two others have tonight, that bond issue was for improvements to Township building. In fact, the word improvement is mentioned 11 times in that bond issue, and the word destruction, demolition, tear down is not mentioned at all. I'm very familiar with that particular bond issue because I happened to chair the meeting that night as mayor of this committee. The third issue is more of a somewhat happy one. I've taken the opportunity to apply as a private citizen to have the town hall listed on the state public register of historic buildings. And in going through that process, I found out, should we be eligible for that, and it's a 45-day process, that grant money is available for this building. Now, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, I'm not saying that it's the full amount that's needed, but I am saying that grant money is available for this building. The application is up there and is being acted upon right now. The process is a bit of a simple one. The one lady will review it all, and then they do a PowerPoint of all the people who are professionals within that unit, and then they decide whether or not the eligibility exists to be put on the list. So I ask you really tonight to rescind the resolution that you passed last time to abolish or destroy our building. I think there's time yet left to save this building. You've heard people tonight express that thought, and I thank you very much and hope that you're able to do that.
Thank you.
Joe Barton, 10 Waltham Drive, Tabernacle, New Jersey. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Committee, thank you for allowing me to address you this evening. Till about a week ago, I was in Florida riding my motorcycle for a couple of months, enjoying myself. And lo and behold, about a month ago, I started getting phone calls every day about a decision that you made to demolish town hall. My wife came home last Thursday from dropping my daughter from work and told me that there was a group of people at town hall, and I understand you have a walkthrough for demolition. I'm here tonight to address you, and you heard Mr. Franzik talk about grants and guarantees. I'm here to talk to you about something that is a grant, and it is a guarantee. And hopefully it'll change your mind on where you're going. The building is 150 years old. It's an icon of our township. Everyone that I know that doesn't live in Tabernacle Township recognizes that building. My family relocated here from Camden County in 1978. Shortly after I relocated here, Nixon's General Store was selling shirts. They said, "Where is downtown Tabernacle?" Well, that's where downtown Tabernacle is, where that 150-year-old building is. That large white building that used to be the Junior Order of United American Mechanics building is our downtown center. And as you heard Mr. Lemire say, that's where our parade ends, that's where our tree lighting is. To vacate that northwest corner of the intersection and have two vacated intersections, just like the southeast corner, would be to eliminate our town center and would be a blemish on this committee. Tonight, there are 4 former elected officials in this building that support restoring that building and keeping that building. And I am one of those. But the real reason I'm here tonight is to encourage a motion from one of you and a second from the other, and a third vote, as Mr. Francis said, to rescind what you did last month. And I'm going to give you a great opportunity to do that. You see, the other day, we were at a Historical Society meeting at Mr. Francis' house, and Don Gerber was there. You all know Don Gerber? Don Gerber is a member of the Junior Order of United American Mechanics. He's also an officer in their local council at 49. Mr. Gerber informed us that there is a member of the Junior Mechanics that is willing to commit $1.5 million to save that building. Who the donor is. He is anonymous. He will remain anonymous. I can tell you he is a righteous man. He has the funds. He's willing to put them in reserve. He asked that I or someone else designated by the Junior Order have a seat at the table in a subcommittee to develop the scope of work, to develop a schedule, and a cash flow to move the building to a new foundation and restore it. So, on behalf of Mr. Gerber, I thank him for his confidence in me and the donor to be the messenger here tonight of that good news. And I ask that you take this seriously.
What's Natalie, been saying there?
So, with my closing, I look forward to getting re-engaged. I did anticipate getting re-engaged, but I am going to be re-engaged. I look forward to working with this committee in the future. And I hope tonight, and I pray, that you make the right decision and save that building. Thank you.
That's Dave Town Hall. We sent legal notice.
Good evening, Vince Camigliano, 14 Greenwich Drive. I have reservations into coming to this township committee meeting tonight. Reason? Deja vu. I can remember vividly the high school construction proposal that tore our community apart. At this juncture, the most prudent thing to be done would be to hold a public referendum on two competing proposals. The first proposal would be to demolition the historic building, municipal building, and to replace with a new one across the road with an estimated cost. The second proposal would be to totally renovate the historic municipal building to structural soundness, inclusive of a state-of-the-art facility. I believe that could be done. A public referendum can potentially give all concerned the avoidance of blame for any associated excessive costs going forward. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
My name is Carol Ray Reiner. I live at 11 Fox Chase. I am the secretary and a member of the executive board of the Historical Society. And I want to thank all of you, first of all, for coming out and being responsive. We very much appreciate that. I think what is important to understand is what we're asking for now is time. We have potential funding in place. We have the community support to attempt to move forward with trying to maintain it. And we would like for you to consider the options of the referendum and or, as has been discussed previously, an ad hoc committee so that we can get the pulse of the community as to what they would like to see be done with the building. It is emotional. I know it's been difficult for all of you. I've spoken to some of you. Some wrestled more than others. And I just hope you'll do the right thing and give us the time that we're asking for. Thank you.
Ray McCarty, 368 Tuckerton Road. I'm speaking now as the chairman of the Tabernacle Land Development Board. Twice in my tenure as a board member, we performed master plan re-examinations. Both time the plans called for development of a park-like mixed-use town center based around the old town hall. This is a big effort to do this. The examination requires the help of an outside planner, a committee of several board members, and finally the entire board to comment on the draft document. It takes over a year. Professional planner gets paid for it, but we don't. Ultimately, it is presented to you for your acceptance and approval. In our township zoning code regarding historic, archaeological, and cultural resources, section 17-3, item J, it lists 3 buildings as, quote, historic sites to be preserved and protected in the township of Tabernacle, unquote. The old town hall is one of them. Some might say it's not really protected because it's not listed by the state. That doesn't matter. If we can't abide by our own vision and our own regulations in this, why should we abide by any of them? What's the point of them if they're forgotten when it's the easy thing to do? Planning-wise, the most important part of this project is the preservation of the old town hall, not the building of it. We seem to be accomplishing township business without the new one. There's nothing wrong with working in trailers. I have worked in far less congenial places, as I am sure many present here tonight have. It doesn't matter if the trailers remain where they are or move to another site at some point until the project's completed. Now I'm speaking as a private citizen of Tabernacle. My wife and I sent you an email in which we called upon you to hold a referendum on the disposition of the old town hall. The public should decide this matter, as it did for the emergency services building. There'd be no shame in rescinding your decision. You would merely be doing your job. You would be respected for making a difficult decision rather than an expedient one. I realize that a referendum can't be done immediately. It's unavailable. The building will deteriorate a little more like that. If you're concerned about appearances and your legacy, consider this. The brass plaque dedicating the new building will be in its lobby. Your names will be on it. Do you want it viewed with scorn and derision, or do you want it viewed with the honor of a job well done? The choice is yours.
Good evening. I'm Tim McGarvey, 4 Sunset Court, Shimon. I'm here to, since we're on the subject of control and overreach, I'm here to speak up, hoping that maybe you guys have come together and thinking about putting in the resolution for the overreach from the DEP on Warden State Forest. I know you guys are dealing with a lot of problems right now, but growing up on the Tabernacle Medford border my whole life, I've always enjoyed Warden State Forest. So I just want to express my disappointment because all the surrounding towns have put a resolution in. Tabernacle has not. The DEP, first off, any township should fight for their roads because they are your roads. Let me remind the people also that it is a state forest. It is not a park. The difference is the park is vested in preservation, whereas the state forest is for use by we the people. Hunting, recreation, fishing, hiking. They want to close 300 miles of roads. That's a lot of roads. That's a lot of miles. That's a big park. So, in that note, you guys have a slogan for Tabernacle, the gateway to the Pines. So it doesn't really make sense. You guys want to make it the closure of the Pines, because that's what's going to happen. 10 years from now, I mean, you may think you're protecting, invasive species. Those roads are already roads, so not much is going to grow on a road that's already a road. But the main problem here is control. What's the state going to do to that forest after you have protected it? Look at Murphy with his windmills out in the ocean. What's to stop them? This New Jersey administration, they've had control. They've taken rights away. The governor has led people to, older during COVID. Come on, we all know. You may think you're protecting the forest, but years down the road, they may not be.
Anyone else want to public comment? Yeah, there's more of us.
Good evening, Ian McDowell, 14 Road. Are you guys getting the pulse of the community tonight? I feel like I'm getting, we're told we got a 1.5 million donation, and we're seeing, I did see you clap when you walked away, so I like that. But it's like, we should be pretty pumped for that, right? Instead, I don't know. We got all these people coming up here taking their time from their family this evening to talk about this, because it's a hot topic, and it's discussed all over the place, but it's like, I don't know if I'm feeling that you guys are really getting the gist here. I don't know. Pannoni, that 2.5 million number is just outrageously high. Steel being further deflected, was there a survey done? Was that monitored? Yeah. So I ran into Mr. Sherry on my way over here, and he was telling me how many meetings he's come to. So I let him know. I used to come to a lot of meetings, but all you get is silence and thank you for your comment once in a while, right? And it drives you nuts. Like, you want to get more. You want to hear more. You want to have a little back and forth. It doesn't have to be an argument, but at least acknowledge what your public's feeling about a historic building. I know everyone wants to say it's not historic, but buildings in this town that are, 10 years older than it are deemed historic. Again, I just feel like there's a disconnect. I think a few more people touched on that. And people are trying to tell us, when we're on social media and stuff, they're saying, it was kicked down the road, other township or other past years, they should have handled this. But, I mean, this report is from March 22nd. So when we say, it's a rushed thing, I mean, this is being rushed. I mean, all of a sudden the fence is put around the building. I mean, now your community's out here asking you to reconsider, and I'd like you to do the same. All right? Thank you. Thank
you. Anthony Stone, Skyler Court in Seneca Reserve. I want to address a couple things that gentleman said, and I do appreciate that you're back at the meetings, and I've only started coming to meetings, I don't know, 6 months ago, 7 months ago. And I wish you would come back, I wish everybody would come back, because you would see the great work, the hard work that these folks are doing for all of us. And I know you don't, I know some of you don't realize that, because they're difficult decisions that have had to be made. And look, I just want to say, first and foremost, that I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for the work and the service to all of us. And I know it's a hard job. You work hard every day. You try to make your careful decisions as best you can, and especially some of those really difficult decisions that you need to make for the higher good of our community. I know it's not easy. And I know that there's a lot of vitriol coming your way sometimes, and it's unwarranted. It's not fair that you're treated this way when you're working for us. And coming back to the meetings, you know, there's a few things that I've seen in the last few months that I have heard from the previous months, mentioning things that were not being done, that are all of a sudden being done. And that feels good to me, and it should feel good to everybody here. Just a few examples. You extended the public comments to 4 minutes from 2 minutes. Started out at 3, you reevaluated and went to 4 minutes. I mean, that's a nice thing. You're allowing for meaningful conversation back and forth, and I see that. Not everybody here sees that for whatever reason. You gave comprehensive presentations on Old Town Hall and New Town Hall. I sat right here, I watched them both, so for anybody to say that the information wasn't out there, is just, they're misinformed, because the information is out there, and it is terrible that building needs to come down. I'm not an expert, I don't really know. Do I even want a new building? I don't know. Why are we having a new building? I don't know the answers to that, but that's stuff that's all in the works and has been happening, and unfortunately, you need to make the tough decisions that people in past administrations were not willing to make, and it's coming on you guys, and that's terrible. But I can say that I feel that you're conducting business responsibly, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. And you know, to appeal to the public, please come out here and listen to what's going on in the township. There's a lot of good stuff happening, and there's stuff that people don't even know about. You know why? Because it's buried in negativity. It's buried in fake news that's out there. It's buried in blogs that are just a bunch of horse crap, in my opinion. All of the information is not being put out there to everybody, and people are just getting bits and pieces. So, and this has been going on for years. I've been doing a little research. You know, terribly for me, I never really got involved in township business up until, I don't know, like I said, the last 6 months. And I'm glad I started to get involved and get to understand, know what's going on, because there is a lot going on, and I think everybody should do their best to engage and be part of the solution instead of, I don't know, spreading negativity. So let's all work together. Just be nice, don't be a jerk. It's simple.
Thank you, Mr. Stone, great job.
Thank you.
Leslie Schmidt, 220 Oak Shade Road. I have a question for some of you that I am friends with and that I voted for, whether friends or not, because I've seen your voices make heard in reference to other communities. Why is it unacceptable for other towns to not remove something from history, and here you are looking to knock down a piece of our history in Tabernacle? That is not the way things should roll. We are in a community and a society where everyone wants something shiny and new. History is important. History is important to be taught. Tactile history is important to be seen. Mr. Kramer made a good point, and knowing him as my kids' history teachers, that's the only way they really learned history, is the tactile piece of it. I'm asking you to rescind the knocking down of Tabernacle Town Hall. It is a historical building. It is a piece of history of this town. This town has been here since 1901 or 4. Mr. Kramer will correct me later. But it is something that is near and dear to every person's heart. I've been here for 28 years now, and it needs to stay. And you need to figure a way to make it work, especially with the donations and the grants that I know are out there, if you did your research. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, don't be shy. Why we have these meetings.
Yes, my husband has asked me to be nice. I really feel like speaking my piece about this situation, and it's not nice. The tragedy of Cranbrook's Moores Meadow Road. The tragedy of the destruction of historic town hall is a grotesque example of the failure of Tabernacle elected officials, staff, and professionals. It is a story about the quality of our current officials, Hartman, Stone, and Moore, and township employees, including the construction official, Tom Boyd, to make informed decisions and take proper action. We didn't have to be at this inflection point if current committee members and staff spent more time studying and regularly addressing township issues and less time playing politics. Let's start with construction official Tom Boyd. Nothing personal, Tom. He's known for years that town hall needed work. It couldn't have been plainer in the 2021 facilities assessment report by township architects and structural engineers. But what has Mr. Boyd been doing? He never sent an email to the committee about the building deterioration. I have all the email logs. He never reported these inspections, if he did any, never updated the committee, and never gave them a deadline for action until February 26, 2024. What has he done? Unfortunately, he spent the last few years building his resume and working in other towns. Tabernacle be damned. It is not until the 11th hour that he attends a township meeting to say that the building is past the point of saving and must come down. His work is a gross failure of government. His actions also beg the question, where was township oversight? Where was the township administrator? She's in Woodland, just picking up her $132,000 Tabernacle salary. Now, what about committee man Sammy Moore? Instead of supporting a really competent committee man and storied Tabernacle resident for mayor, Noble McNaughton, you throw him under the bus and manipulate the politics of the committee appointments because you now see yourself as a major political player. You support Mark Hartman for mayor. He has shown himself to be unable to guide the committee either as mayor or as committee man. This is the person who admits at a public meeting that he doesn't know anything about construction. You make Noble McNaughton's running mate, Natalie Stone, deputy mayor. She also threw McNaughton under the bus when she didn't support him for mayor. Yet she was his running mate. You were his running mate. Yet Stone has absolutely no local government experience. What a destructive move. Sammy, you made one terrible decision to not buy Sequoia. Please don't make another mistake. Vote to rescind the demolition of Town Hall. All these people out here want to preserve this precious building. If you award the contract to demolish, you and your family will truly be the most hated people in Tabernacle. I say this with great sadness. You will be tarred for the rest of your life. Smart enough, do the right thing. Rescind demolition resolution 2024-46. You will be a hero. And so will the rest of the committee.
Mr. Ward, I warn you, please stop. Go ahead, sir.
John Schmidt, Avenue Way, Township, Middletown, Cape State of New Jersey. Wasn't gonna speak tonight. Last time I attended township meeting, you guys were over in the auditorium. And I do thank you, Mr. Clerk, who took a few minutes after that meeting, I missed your public comment. I was gonna go because I wanted to comment on the special meeting notice requirement that you sent to the paper 48 hours in advance, but not timely enough for them to publish. Doesn't need to be published, but they have to have the ability to publish. That's precedent case under Wardsky, Mayor, and Council of the Township. I noticed tonight at the start of your meeting, the presiding officer did not read the adequate notice statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, which is part of the Civil Rights Act, the state of New Jersey, 10:4-10. For any public body that's governed by the act, it's imposed upon the presiding officer of that body to read that statement, which shall be reflected in the minutes. and strict adherence to the Open Public Meetings Act. That's what our courts have found. While there's no exact case law in point, I would advise you to read Human v. Compton Lakes, where in that case, the mayor did read the Sunshine Statement, but it was not reflected in the minutes. And when it went to court, they did a certification that the mayor did adequately read it. But I think you might want to look at the practices on that. I was not gonna speak, but I've been listening. I know a lot about government. I've served in government. That was shocking news that someone wants to make a $1.5 million transfer to the township. Whether you initially want to agree with that or don't agree with that, that's an option, which I think the elected officials have a fiduciary responsibility. Any public officials have to at least examine it. I think your resolution to demolish your town hall, I think bids were due last week. There was a report somebody said March 22nd. This is where I was clerk, if it wasn't to me a week before, it wasn't going on the agenda. It's a holiday coming up, Friday, government offices are closed. You can easily make a motion to table that resolution and allow yourselves 2 weeks to your next meeting. And if for some reason it can't wait, that the building is in such disrepair, the Open Public Meetings Act allows you to have an emergency meeting without giving notice for an emergency. Take a couple days to see if that's a legitimate offer. 1.5 million. How much do you have in capital right now? $500,000? What was the cost I heard tonight? $2 million to rehab town hall? That might be the best use of public funds. I don't expect an answer to my question. Some towns I know give answers, some just take comments. I think I heard tonight that we just take comments, but the presiding officer did respond to some questions. And once you open that door, you have to open the door for everyone. So my question, at what time were petitions for Mr. Hartman and Mr. Moore received in the office of the municipal clerk of the Township of Tabernacle in the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This will be short and sweet. Debbie Simpkins, 504 Old Indian Mills Road, excuse me, 47 years resident. I would strongly suggest you have a referendum of the public ballot and let them vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with any comments?
They have to.
By law, don't answer.
Anyone else?
By law, they agreed to answer.
Mr. Ward, please leave. I asked you not to speak out loud.
Oh.
Sir, please. I asked you twice not to talk. Please.
I'll voluntarily leave.
Thank you.
I don't need an escort. Is that understood, sir?
Sure.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you for all coming out tonight. It's been a blessing. God bless you all.
After you.
Bill, take care.
Anyone else want to make public comment?
Hi, Karen Delaney, 67 Cheever. I just have a question. I don't know if you guys are answering it. I'm confused on the agenda. I have one.
I have a right to be here.
Page 53, what is that? I did try to scroll all the way up to see if it's. It is. It says police regulations, not condemnation of firearms on private property.
Yeah, that's, I think
Sorry,
that's
it's
not.
numbered on my phone. Is that what happened?
Yeah, the clerk's report.
For Eldorado,
It is under the clerk's
Yeah,
report.
it's on the agenda, we'll talk about it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just didn't know report, not really legal. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else make a public comment? Sir?
Brian Surfini, Tabernacle, Township. Nothing in regards to the town hall, it's in regards to Hawkins Road out here. I don't know if any of you has been, looking at this road after this storm. I know we have plans to repave it. I'd like to know when this road is getting repaved. I'd like to know when the drainage is actually gonna work properly on this road, because it is a hazard. Tired of coming down this road with cones on the road, blockades on the road, things of that nature. We're trying to avoid things. We have children going to Seneca, walking down this road, and somebody's gonna get killed on this road. And it's gonna be on your hands, because nothing is being done in a timely fashion. When that road was ripped up, we went through this back in the summertime, and we were told that all this improvement was getting taken care of, and nothing has been done. These drains are inefficient, the road's still not paved. You said you were, getting grant money. I don't know if it's been secured or it hasn't been secured. We're not notified about anything going on with this road. I want answers. I'm a resident here, I pay my taxes, I wanna know what's going on. Our road is a disgrace. You bounce all over the road, we have water all over the road. It's ridiculous. You guys made the decision to rip this road apart, and I have to live on it. None of yous live on this road, other than one gentleman over here, Mr. Haynes. It's a disgrace. Something needs to be done. I would like to know when this road is getting paved, when this drainage system is actually gonna work. This is not fair to us as residents to have a road like this. It was ripped up and not taken care of properly. You set forth with money to rip this road up and never procured to get the road repaved. Then we're begging to get grant money to repave this road. And still, 6 months later, it's still not repaved. Nothing's been done. Don't have an answer. Why don't we have an answer? Is the improvements being done? Did we get the money? Are safety issues gonna be done with this road? With the speed limit? Are we putting signs up? Are we putting speed bumps in? What are we doing with this road? I'd like to know from the committee what we're doing here. Can somebody answer me?
Mayor is further down on the agenda.
It's gonna be done tonight? We're gonna talk about it?
Stoney's gonna talk about our engineer, he's already on our agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else looking at public comment? No, I'll close out the public comment.
Mr. Mayor, might I have a few comments?
Sure.
Thank you. I want to apologize for not being at the last meeting, I was sick, and there was nothing on the agenda about destroying Town Hall. If I knew that was on the agenda, I would have been here on the get-go. Because I think it's an absolute crime that this has happened. As soon as we got that report, from Mr. Brony at that meeting, dated 2/15, this committee should have automatically scheduled an emergency open forum meeting so we could have a discussion like this. And not just take questions, but talk and answer and discuss. That never happens with this committee. If I had my way, it would happen all the time. This committee chose not to have work sessions at the beginning of the month. Work sessions are a perfect example to deal with situations like this, where you can talk about it. After I found out what happened, I contacted both the mayor and the deputy mayor and said, now that you're getting costs to actually demolish it, why don't we get actual cost to do phase 2, which is estimated to be approximately $1 million to stabilize it, so that we would know exactly what's gonna cost to demolish. And then we would have actual, not inflated engineer prices of what it would cost to stabilize it and save it. And neither one of them chose to do that. I would like now to make a motion to change the agenda, to bring forward resolution 22453 to discuss now. And I would also like to make that motion, or add to that motion, that we rescind that motion, and we right now have an open discussion about the offer for the 1.5 million and where this committee wants to go, in front of everybody here.
There's a motion and a second on the table, so there's now discussion on the motion.
But I'm a little confused, Bill, with the motion. I mean, I
The
get what you
motion is
said.
to move it up in the agenda right now, and to rescind it. Rescind the decision to destroy,
Well, no,
and have a
wait a minute,
discussion.
hang on. No, you can't do that.
Can't do that?
That's two motions in one. And that's-
Okay, first I make the
So,
motion. to
wait
move
a
it.
minute, hang on.
Okay.
We're gonna have a motion to amend the agenda to move the order of the agenda, to move resolution 2024-53 to right now on the agenda. That was how I understood your first motion.
That's right.
That Mr. Sprague seconded.
Okay, fine.
So that's the motion on it. If you have another motion after this motion, vote
We'll
on
deal
it.
with it then, that's fine. Thank you.
Just to keep the,
Can't
hear you.
Can't hear you. I call the question.
I think we should have the discussion.
I call the
letter
question.
Based on,
I call the question.
email.
Doesn't that mean we have to
Well,
roll
I'm
call?
gonna have a discussion.
She's
In the
discussing
discussion,
it,
roll
and then we
call.
do a roll
Discuss.
call. Yeah, we're discussing
Yeah,
it.
we're discussing.
we're discussing Mr. McNaughton's motion, not Mr. Sprague. Motion.
Mr. Boyd and Mr. Leeson-Bob now.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that input, because how do you undo what was done?
No, that's not the motion. The motion right now is a motion to amend the agenda to move up.
To move it up.
That's all that's on, it's 2024-53. That motion to amend the agenda to discuss 2024-53 now.
That's fine.
All right, so it's just to move it up. Okay, all right.
Okay, so I have a motion made by Mr. McNaughton, a seconded by Mr. Sprague. Okay, roll call. Mr. McNaughton,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor Hartman.
Yes. All right, so just to be clear, resolution 2020, the agenda has been amended. So now, resolution 2024-53 is moved up to right below public comment, right above approval of the minutes. So now, that is where we are in the agenda. So we can either, the committee can either make a motion with respect to this resolution, or make any other motion they would like.
I would like to make a motion that we vote to rescind the motion made at the last meeting to demolish the building, so that we can talk about everything that happened now, and then decide.
Just give me
So I'm not
one
saying
second,
that-
please, Mr. McNaughton, so I can pull that resolution number.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It is, can you please amend your motion to be, it was you would like to rescind resolution 2024-45, which was at the last
Correct,
meeting.
yes.
Demolition of Town Hall Building at 163 Carranza Road.
Yes.
All right, so very clear again, for the, apparently under Robert's rules for this time. So very clear, your motion is to rescind the action of the committee to adopt resolution 2024-45, right? That's your motion. All right, so there's a motion and second. Discussion?
Yeah, I would like, before we do any of that, I'd like to hear from our professionals, from Mr. Lees.
There was a new.
You know, because I don't want to rescind nothing and because they come out with more information.
Right.
I'd like to hear from them.
So, Tom Lees,
Yes.
you wanna start?
Sure. Wait, hang on.
No?
You got it.
There's been a motion that's been made and second for discussion of the governing body. If the moving committee member wouldn't mind hearing from the professionals, you can amend your motion to include that. Or you can
Okay, I'm sorry. He's amending his motion to
allow
rescind and to
presentation
allow.
from Mr. Boyd, Mr. Lees, and Mr. Engel.
I'm not quite sure Mr. England has a presentation.
Oh, he's sitting here, in case he wants to talk.
Thank you. As per the last meeting, my office was directed, for the township building subcommittee to solicit bids for the demolition of the whole town hall.
Did everybody hear this? Because it's-
No.
Would you mind taking the mic? Thank you.
No, that's, no, you gotta.
But it's still not good.
It's into the speakers in her head.
As part of the bidding process, on March 13th, a pre-bid meeting was held at the building with prospective bidders, township representatives, and my office. As part of that pre-bid meeting, I observed the conditions of the building as it related to the original report that was in 2021 and subsequent inspections or observations that I had performed when I first became township engineer. The major things that I had observed as of that meeting on March 13th were further progressive deterioration of the interior foundation walls, significant damage and deterioration of the wood structural members. I believe that additional roof damage has been observed, which is contributing to moisture getting in the building. With all those things, I've taken some pictures and provided a report to the township committee in support of Mr. Boyd's deeming of the building as an unsafe building. In my professional opinion, I have deemed it as a human danger to public health and safety, cannot be occupied, and it requires immediate action. That was my determination based on my inspection.
Immediate action, not destruction.
Immediate action, yes.
Exactly. Okay, now, on that building, and you're as an engineer, could that, a company come in, shore up that building and move it,
Move us to where?
just away from the road, just?
Where are you gonna go? You have other buildings on site, you know, public works, where are you?
There's room to move it over 20, 30 feet. All right, now, as Mr. Kramer earlier said, they had a house down here on 206, basically it had the same type of foundation, same problem. That was in the air for, I wanna say 5 to 6 months before they did the foundation. All right, so, can the same thing be done to this building?
In accordance with Mr. Boyd's unsafe condition, I don't believe you have the time to put this out for design, take bids, get it under contract, and then complete the work.
Okay, not total work, just to jack the building up as a mover would and make it secure. While all the bidding is going out for the foundation and all that.
How are you doing, what's the procedure for jacking the building up?
I'm not a mover, I'm not a house
You're
mover, I see it done all the
Then
time.
you're deeming it an emergency, and you're bringing a company in to do this with an open checkbook to reinforce that building, try and lift it up. You're probably gonna get someone who's not gonna accept the risk and liability, or damage that may occur to the building.
But if we
while you're trying to
don't
do that.
try to get that person, we won't know. If we try to get that person, and the person says it can't be done, then it can't be done, but we don't know that. So why don't we get that person, and we can put it out to bid? I mean, you got people here to tear it down within 2 weeks. I'm sure we can get people, house movers out here pretty quick to give within the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month.
You'd have to get a structural engineer to set that design
Absolutely.
together. You're probably talking at least 2 months to do that, another month or two to put it out to bid, another month to get under contract.
Well,
And
we
then
had a structural engineer do a report, am I right?
you did, and I followed up with him based on my observations, like, his response was, you could do anything you wanted as long as you had enough money to do it.
And your estimate from the 15th to raise the building, to move the building, foundation construction, first floor reinforcement, roof reinforcement, shingles, flashing, construction costs, soft costs, $997,500 to $1,032,000.
That was an estimate based on the conditions that we could observe.
Right.
If you read the disclaimer at the end of the report, we're anticipating a significant amount of things that we cannot see, unforeseen conditions that we're gonna encounter when we try and move this building.
My question is though, there were 4 possibilities. When that is written up, okay, all 4 of those possibilities were still possible. Last month, the committee of 3 decided to demolish the building. What changed that they could have said that same night, let's stabilize the building? I don't get why we could do one of 4 a month ago, and it could have been proposed then, and now, a month later, you can't do that. That whole chain doesn't make any sense.
You're asking me about direction that the Township Building Subcommittee made.
No.
It was my decision.
No, I'm not asking you about that.
I was
Okay?
given direction based on the subcommittee.
There was 4 recommendations made.
Correct.
Okay? Last month, they could have picked any one of those 4.
Who's that?
The township committee. The
And
committee-
my actions were based on the direction of the Township the Building
No,
Subcommittee.
I'm not saying that you're wrong or right, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that last month, the committee could have picked any one of the 4.
That's because after Tom did his report, after
Wait,
we
let me
ordered
finish.
it,
Let me
it
finish.
deteriorated more. You forgot that part.
No, I didn't forget. I'm old, I'm not senile.
Okay.
There were 4 proposals at that time, okay? Out of those 4 proposals, the committee of 3 picked to demolish the building. At that same night, that same committee of 3 could have said, let's move the building, let's do whatever. That's according to your report.
The moving of the building was based upon everything being off this site and on the new site. So moving the building now is not feasible because there's nowhere to move it to. You're gonna pick it up and move it 10 feet from where it is now?
Put it in the air, like Mr. Noble said.
I thought
Well,
that if you
I
move
thought-
one
I
part,
thought
the
that-
other part's gonna collapse.
See, I always thought that the main problem was explained to me, the main problem is because it's so close to the road, it's getting on without water problem. And I asked Tom, could we move it 20 feet? He said, sure.
When was that?
When I did an inspection with Tom about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm sorry, which Tom, just for the. Tom Boyd, I'm sorry. And again, question, are you still storing stuff in the first floor like you worked 3 weeks ago?
Everything's been removed.
Everything's finally been removed?
I got a question for Mr. Boyd. Mr. Boyd, you fall under the, construction to the state. So basically, we can direct, we kinda have to go on direction by you because you have the power, you're the one that deemed it unsafe. Where are we at right now with the building according to what Mr. Lees just gave us with the report?
Based on Mr. Lee's report, it is an imminent hazard. As such, it would either be demolished or immediately repaired.
So it's an emergency, you could do that.
Define immediate. A month, 2 months?
I would say not even that long, sir. The one issue, just going back to a little bit of the questions, when Mr. Lees and I were in for the pre-bid meeting, we actually noticed on the steel beam for a deflection that you could see in the steel beam. I never took out my calculus book to figure out what forces that requires, but it's an awful lot of force to bend an 8-inch steel beam. All 4 of those walls, both the walls that run parallel to Medford Lakes Road, as well as the roads that run parallel to Caranza, are bearing walls. Floor joists run one way and the roof rafters go the other way, so all 4 walls. When we were discussing if in fact it could be moved, where it's rotted out on the Medford Lakes Road, and you observe that, the rot on there, it's going to be very difficult to say that building's gonna be able to stand and move based on when we were there. I'm not saying it
Can you
won't.
repeat that, Tom? I didn't.
It's going to be more difficult for that to sustain a move because of the amount of rot. Mr. McNaughton was there the Thursday after the meeting. I escorted him in the basement to show him that. As I said at the meeting, and Mr. McNaughton, I know you weren't there, but I basically said it's basically time to fish or cut bait. And if I may use this analogy, I would like to. Almost 3 years ago, that building was given a cancer diagnosis. I can know with my own father, when he was given 3 years to live, for the first 32 months of it, he was fine. In the last 4 months, he absolutely fell off the face of the earth with his health. And in my humble opinion, and that's all it is, this building has fallen off the last 4 months. To answer Mr. Sprague's question, why? It's been that quick. Yes, it has.
Does anybody want to discuss? May I ask a question?
Absolutely, sir, as long as the mayor's fine with that.
Money has been, the money to stabilize the building has been appropriated, from what I understand. So now, if we were gonna stabilize the building, back brace the building for now until those, contracts are in. If they take 2 months, back brace is gonna secure for 6 months. Is that a possibility?
When you say back brace?
Back, angle back those walls, things.
I think part of the problem is going to be, it's not just the foundation, but the actual structural issues that are in there. I would, if I may, defer to Mr. England as far as what timing it would take to develop a plan that would allow that, if I may.
You're gonna have to find we will have to find a structural engineer specifically that deals with this type of work, and they are busy. I personally noticed last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, when I was coming from Nixon's, and I'm looking at that building, and the back half of that building looks to me like it's bowing out towards the road even more than it was than I remember before. No one could put a time frame on it. If anybody had a crystal ball, this would be easy. But the chance of that coming down into Medford Lakes Road is concerning to me. Very concerning. And it should be for everybody. So we can't answer the time.
I understand. You're an engineer. I'm not. Okay. What I'm saying, until we can determine, Mr. Engineer, can we back brace the building?
I think if you start trying to stabilize the building, you're gonna destabilize the building at the same time. So I don't know that it's feasible to just put a back brace on the building. I think as Scott said, you need to find somebody who specializes in this type of structural engineering. What I saw was, we keep mentioning the deflected beam. If you push that beam up, it's no longer sitting on the foundation wall. Where's that foundation wall gonna go? So now you have to stabilize it vertically, you have to stabilize it horizontally, all across the building. The building itself is leaning to one side, so all the wood structural members, all the point loading is on one side of the building. So you have all that wood that probably has to get replaced because of all the undue loadings and weight that's been put on it. So it's not as easy as just they put temporary stabilization down there, and it just bought a little bit of time, not enough.
Was that 3-month solution that you
was the
referred to
3-month
before?
solution, yes.
And Mary Alice, for a referendum to go up for the public, like was asked multiple times, I've never, been part of one of them. Is that something for the June, November?
We cannot do it at the June election. A referendum is only at the general election, which is held in November.
And there's definitely no time for that, correct? According to our professionals that I see.
How many of you would risk your license and certifications to say do this until November?
I will not.
Absolutely not.
I will not.
And reputations?
I will not. That's one of my questions I have here. What if it were to fall?
I don't know, I can't imagine it, that's, I'm very uncomfortable with it.
Then I think that, you know, we're all sitting here and I do appreciate the comments, I do appreciate the passion, I do appreciate, but what if that does fall? We've had design professionals that have stated that they have seen a movement in the building. Going back, if I may, Mr. Mayor, some of the comments as far as I have an obligation by the Constitution. I know for a while that the building that it was in bad shape. I do have an obligation as determined by the Constitution of the state of New Jersey, which has allowed the legislative branch to make laws that I have to enforce. It would be malfeasance and maladministration if I allowed that building to fall. That would be true malfeasance and maladministration if that building would fall. As stated here, there's not one of us, I believe, that would want to lose our license over it. I know for a fact, I can speak for myself, I don't want it. Not only for the fact of losing my license, but if somebody gets hurt. We just don't know. We're approximately 7 feet off the Medford Lakes Road. Very heavily traveled road. If that building falls, right now it's leaning towards that. In my opinion, it would fall that way. As far as being able to fix it and utilize it for a municipal building, I think we've gone over that numerous times. In fact, it goes back as far as a June 14th, 2021 report that I gave to the committee at that time, which said, if in fact we were to do anything there, we would have to have a structural engineer brought in to determine what we want.
It's a dumb question, but why wasn't anything done to do it since then and now? And now here we are with this crappy decision that's to be made.
I would not be able to answer that decision.
Seriousness of the situation wasn't in front of us before a month ago. I mean, we knew it was in rough shape, but being this serious,
I think,
we didn't know until a month ago.
and I think that there was probably some, and I'm only surmising, but there was some opinions out there that it wasn't as bad as what we were making it out to be. That's just my opinion.
So do they think that you made it up with all your professional licenses and experience and reputation?
I can't answer what they think, that's for sure. I heard rumors to that degree, but I can't say for sure what people have said.
So you seen a big difference in 30 days? You think there'll be another big difference in 30 days?
I think that there's a very strong possibility that immediate action needs to be taken.
Well, Mr. Mayor, just look at the weather we had on Saturday. That building is right off of the road, all of that runoff is hitting that building. We're gonna get another rainstorm this week.
Mr. Parker,
We've seen over the last year, more high duration, short intensity storms. Where we're seeing inches of rain in a matter of hours. The building is not gonna be able to withstand that type of weather. And that's not a 10-year thing, it's not a 5-year thing, that's a relatively new thing. We're dealing with the storm. Everywhere is dealing with the storm. The storms are coming, we're getting 100-year storms once a year, instead of once every 100 years. So that's only gonna contribute to the damage that that building's taking on.
I'm very distracted with her conversation back there. I'm trying to listen, and this is very serious, and I wanna hear what he has to say, if you don't mind.
I mean, you can go in the basement, you can see the holes that lead to outside.
I did say it.
You can try and put something around the aluminum, where's the water gonna go? There is nowhere for the water to go. It's the issues we're having in town with stormwater collections. There's just no, when we get 5 inches of rain in 12 hours, there's nowhere for the water to go.
If I may. This is one paragraph in a report that was given to the Township Committee on June 14th, 2021 by myself. This building was constructed prior to the establishment of building codes. As such, some of the structural components of the building are showing negative deflection, resulting in uneven floors and walls. The addition of storage materials adds to the dead load of the building, adding to the stress placed on the structural members. Future renovation of the building should take this into account, and an engineering analysis of the building should be considered at that point. The other thing that I did want to make mention was the fact that when this analysis started back in 21, part of it was to see if we could in fact put an addition into Town Hall, the old Town Hall. I believe that Mr. Lee referred to that going way back into his term. There was an issue that the only way that we could do it, as we discovered, was that we would hook up into the sewer system for the school.
But the school refused, correct?
We were not permitted to hook up into the school and thus any type of addition. In order to utilize that for a town hall, it would require, and here again, we've gone over this ad nauseum, but I feel it's necessary to do it again. The addition of a fire sprinkler system, elevators, additional bathroom facilities, additional barrier-free accessibility, which most people will refer to as ADA compliance, American with Disabilities Act, which would, in essence, require an addition onto the building. Mr. Lease and I spoke with Pinelands, however long ago that was, and that we cannot put an addition onto that building without tying into a sewer system.
I was addressed. I can clarify. Yeah,
So, Tom, so you're saying right now, as it stands, you and Tom, you've made it well clear, there's just no time we can wait with the building. In your opinion?
Well, here's the thing, it's still gonna take,
If, like, say, if you could restructure it, you gotta go through all this engineering stuff and all that.
as I stated at the last meeting, it needed to be something we needed to fish or cut bait. But, certainly, if you wanna allow Mr. Lee to address, because I did in fact say something, if you want him to.
Thank you. Stephen Lee, Forest Road. Mr. Boyd is absolutely correct. To be able to modify that building and to add to it, required an awful lot of work. Some of which we weren't sure as a committee, and there's 3 other mayors that are here that can verify that, but we weren't necessarily sure that was the right move either. In terms of the relationship with the school, we never directly asked the school to tie into the septic system. We had a lot of conversations with the school board. We had to be able to get an easement to be able to go from Town Hall over to the septic field, or over to the sewage treatment plant behind the school. So there were options that were there. Mr. Frains and several others have had that opportunity. We have done an awful lot of homework on this. 2 things I heard is that you've heard that there is a structural engineer that hasn't looked at this, and the type of structural engineer you need is someone that can look at a building that is in danger of collapse. And I think the simple answer, as long as I'm here, I will tell you, I think the simple answer is to have a structural engineer that specializes in buildings that are literally falling down to come look at it and make a determination. That is the safest thing to do. I don't think it's fair to put their licenses online, I get that. But I think the best thing to do for the town is to find out exactly from a specialized engineer that oversees buildings that are about ready to fall down. And you see them in Philadelphia during house fires, to have them look at the building and make a determination at that point. Mayor, thank you for this.
Thank you, Mr.
If I may, Mr. Mayor. If I may, Mr. Mayor, in the report that was given to the Township Committee on June 14, 2021, after Mr. Lee left office, I believe. Yes, I believe he was, am I correct? Steve was off the committee in 21, right?
Yeah, I think.
I believe he was. This was after him. In that report that I gave on that particular date, I have in here, and I quote, The township administrator has met twice with the superintendent of schools to discuss the possibilities of tying into the sewer system. It was hoped that a positive answer would have been given. At the very least, we anticipated further discussion would be warranted. Instead, we received at the second meeting an answer of no. Currently, this would eliminate any expansion/improvements to the current town hall complex. Unquote.
So they were officially asked, and they officially said no.
Yes, ma'am.
In so many ways to expand it,
Sewer. I don't mean to correct you, sir. but
No,
it is-
thank you.
I apologize.
Anyone else have any more questions?
All right, so the motion, if there's no others, so then the motion was to rescind by Mr. McNaughton, was to rescind resolution 2024-40.
Sorry, I'm just trying to help.
You're doing great. So that was Mr. McNaughton's motion.
And I believe Mr. Sprague, you seconded it.
Correct.
Correct? And then we went into discussion, so now.
Roll call?
Roll call. Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
And what are we?
So we are,
Yes, there is a motion, yes.
Mr. Moore?
Well, no, not to rescind the motion, yes to rescind resolution 2024-40.
I'm sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah. It's hard to follow all the pieces. Okay, let me start over. Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Due to the report we got tonight and the safety, no.
Ms. Stone?
No.
Mayor?
Well, my main concern here.
Will the committee entertain the possibility of trying to find within the next couple of weeks a structural engineer that deals with these buildings to,
Can we discuss, is that okay to discuss that? Because my question is, doesn't it have to go out to bid, how long will that take? And if it's an
It's an
imminent danger of
emergency.
falling on Medford Lakes Road,
No.
can we get the
you did
structural
this construction
engineer?
bid in 2 weeks, right?
Well, I mean, if the committee is inclined to do that, the committee can, and I will speak with the CFO as well as the construction person to declare an emergency. And they can do an appointment without an open and fair process if it's actually declared.
Yes.
I want the record to reflect that Ms. Brooks agrees with something you said.
I always agree with you, Bill.
The committee can declare an emergency. The committee can declare an emergency and go out through an appropriations, not through a fair and open process. They can get 3 bids, or request 3 quotes and do it that way. They can cap it, correct? There's money left over from the ordinance to cap it at, but that is up to the committee. A prudent course of action might be, because of the emergent type nature of this, is to award the demolition contract at the same time as declare an emergency and try to secure an engineer and see if that can be done. And then if an engineer is willing to take on the project, then call an emergency meeting.
We will hold the contract for the demolition while the process of the structural engineer is going on.
How many structural engineers would we get to look at it? Because it can't be just one, there should be a couple of them, I would think.
You're dealing with an emergency, Kyle, you don't really have,
1, 2, 10.
you don't really have a lot of choice, you're not gonna find a whole
And then
many.
is there any way to tie in that donation? I wanna see the guy with the check in the same time period for $1.5 million.
Did you say it was hard to find? this
In
engineer?
escrow to, you know, because anybody could say that, I'm gonna give
Are we
you
in
this.
Yeah.
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Are we not
Yeah.
accept? I mean, I'm asking the question, can we accept that? My question was, Noble, and I'm just asking, I mean, I'm very happy somebody's willing
Right,
to
can we take
donate,
a
but can we
donation?
take a donation? Because any other governmental
It's a
agency I
gift.
work with, it's a gift,
It's
you're
a
not
gift.
allowed to take it. That's my question. Yes.
If it's donated earmarked for a specific action and we notify the state, it is legally acceptable, you have to follow the proper channels and paperwork.
And how long will all of that take? That's the other
Mr. Burns, you got,
It'll
you're
probably take as long as
ventriloquist.
we get a structural and not done.
Meaning no
hotel.
I'm safe with this staying up. I don't really have an issue with starting to lean,
Then
it's
close
a
the
safety
road.
concern.
Then close the road.
Close Netflix Tabernacle Road?
You could do that.
Building's been standing for 200 years, it's gonna fall tonight.
It is a county road.
Could we do an emergency resolution? And put a time limit of, say, 3 weeks, try to get a structural engineer to deal with the whole building. If we can't do it in 3 weeks, you gotta decide what to do.
Tom, you saw in
Tom.
3 weeks' time what happened from the first meeting when I ordered the cost analysis to the next meeting, what happened
I mean,
there?
I hate to throw on Tom, but in what Natalie's
Well,
saying,
what am I gonna throw
no, me, I'm talking me. The same thing, caveat off of that. You're the guy, it's Uniform Construction Code,
You're the guy.
UCC. I can't say yes, no, we keep getting saying it's an imminent danger, and that's what spooks me, to just say, okay, let's keep kicking the can, I'll keep kicking it.
In my professional opinion, it's an imminent danger. I don't know if there's too much debate about that up here. I think that everybody is in agreement that it is in danger. I believe it's going to be 3 weeks, from what I understand, for the contractors to mobilize and get everything ready. Is that a correct assessment?
If we were to award tonight, they have a 10-day notice to the Department of Labor, at which point then we can start suspending the work. And I believe we were looking at, utilizing the end of probably that following week, that we were talking about,
So,
so three weeks.
so we're a 3-week time period until the demolition would start. So, I think Mr. Burns, when he suggested if we can get this done.
Before the 3 weeks.
Before the 3 weeks, then if that would be the will of the committee, then it would be within that 3-week time period.
But let's be clear about the 3 weeks, because I think there might be a misunderstanding.
Okay.
But the 3 weeks is not to go out and try to just secure an engineer.
No, sir.
It's to go out, identify an engineer, procure with them under an emergency contract, have them identify a general contractor under an emergency contract, and start the work to at least brace the property within 3 weeks.
That is my assumption, yes, sir. I would also ask Mr. Lee's opinion as well.
I think if it takes 3 weeks to get a structural engineer, then technically it wouldn't be an emergency. I mean, very clearly, under 40A 11-6, any contract may be negotiated or awarded for a contracting unit without public advertising for bids and bidding, notwithstanding the contract price, when an emergency affecting the public health, safety, or welfare requires the immediate delivery of goods or the performance of services, provided that the awarding of contract is made in following.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to throw a thought out there, we have this workshop meeting scheduled for April 8th, which is in 2 weeks. We could postpone that meeting 1 week, that would give you the 3 weeks, and we can rediscuss on the 15th and decide, is it, you get your information on your grant, on your donor. At that point, the contract's ready to.
No, see, that was the question that I had. They're not willing to wait 3 weeks to start the work. That's why I asked, I don't think.
The demolition, as I understand it, will be 3 weeks if it was to be awarded tonight. Thus, if it would be 3 weeks till the demolition, if the 3 weeks would allow the design and the stabilization, it would, in my opinion, be the same way that you have. Now, whether you can do that or not in 3 weeks, I can't answer that.
The Department of Labor notice is minimum of 10 days. So we could make it 20 days, we could make it 30 days to establish a time period to start, based on, I guess, the response we get.
contract tonight, and then we are lucky enough to get an engineer in real quick, and he says, yeah, we can get this done real quick, you know? Maybe pie in the sky, but I'm saying if it's possible, how do we stop the contract?
You terminate the contract.
Huh?
You terminate the contract.
But is there a fee involved? Is
There
there a
may be,
fine?
with the demolition contractor, they're not procuring materials, but there could be, you know, there could be.
So if we don't award the contract, we vote it down, we buy us some more time for the next meeting?
We're not, respectfully, we can't buy more time. The building has been determined that it's getting progressively worse, maybe exponentially. It's been observed by design professionals that it is now leaning. We have actual crease in an 8-inch steel I-beam. I don't feel comfortable saying we're gonna be buying more time. I appreciate this. I was in fact 4 years ago, this very weekend, volunteering my time to do all the woodworking, the trim, the dais up at that building. So it's not as if I didn't have any desire to do it. Mr. Sprague, you and I were the one that came up with the idea of moving it and creating a village green. Correct. So it's not as if I don't appreciate those type of things. I think you know I do deep down.
Is the question here, how quickly we can get a qualified structural engineer? That's what really is my question. Should we put a time limit on that to make that go now?
I thought that was in 3 weeks.
Well, if we did, are we gonna be able to get a design in
Not a
order?
design, but get somebody locked in, which means they gotta come out and look at it, they gotta give a proposal, it's gotta be accepted.
If it's not done tonight, the unfortunate part is it will be deemed an imminent hazard based on the reports I have. And as such, I would be obligated to go to court to have it torn down.
Can you say that again?
If it was voted down tonight to not go forth, and it's been deemed an imminent hazard, I am obligated by the New Jersey Uniform Construction Code to advise the solicitor to go to court to have the building torn down.
I mean, I think we've exhausted You've exhausted everything.
I'm just saying, and I hear the rumblings, and I understand the rumblings, but I have to look at facts. I can't look at my feelings in this. I have to look at facts.
Mr. Reese, was the structural engineering firm that was out, were they willing to do anything else?
I don't know, in a short time frame, I can't say.
They came out for us today on 3 hours notice.
It's worth a shot.
Constantly putting excuses out, constantly after all these years.
Maladministration at all costs.
Please. Guys, me personally, I don't feel safe.
Where are the permits? You need permits.
Mr. Boyd,
Sir.
that was asked, can you explain about the Pinelands permits when it's deemed unsafe? Because that was asked during public comment, and I just heard it again. Could you please explain that?
I have, basically, if it's in imminent danger to public safety, they would issue it post-demolition for the certificate. I believe Mr. Burns can confirm that as well.
Does that? If it's deemed an eminent public safety risk, the application
Yeah.
can be put in post-project.
If you remember, there was a house where the storage of vehicles on Chatsworth Road, going from Tabernacle to Chatsworth on the left-hand side, right past Mr. Cutz's property. They had the storage of vehicles there. I forget the gentleman's name. That house had actually collapsed unbeknownst to anybody, and that was torn down in 2 days. And post demolition, they got a certificate from the parents.
Your Honor,
I can't.
Your Honor, may I interject something very quickly, and it's just from my own personal experience. I had a home that it was all over the news. It was a home that was built in 1885. It had a sandstone foundation, sandstone beams, and crossbars on it. Oil was put in the basement with no oil tank. When the people came in to remediate, they literally knocked my house off of the foundation. It was deemed unsafe, okay? What they did was, it sat for a while, and yes, my neighbors were largely concerned it was gonna land on somebody, but I was given an opportunity to find the people to come in. They wanted to knock it down, but we were given the opportunity to allow the people to come in and figure out how to upright it. As it were, it did cause additional damage, but they were able to lift it, not a lot, but lift it, get the foundation out, stabilize it until we were able to figure out what to do with the rest of the building. That house was deemed uninhabitable, unsafe, and potentially coming down, but we were given the opportunity. I don't know how they did it, whether they went through the engineers or whomever they went through in our town, and allowed me the time to try to upright the building by getting the foundation issues resolved. I know it's bigger than that, but I believe there has to be some mechanism to allow the time for them to see if they can even get a structural engineer in there to see if that's a possibility.
Carol,
Thank you.
it is bigger, however, that's a risk that you as a homeowner were willing to take. We're talking about public safety, not just Carol's house safety.
That was a risk my insurance company was willing to take, not just Carol.
We're talking about, you could land on, let's definitely Tabernacle Road, so.
And we have
My
3
God, my
professionals
neighbor
telling us
didn't
the
yet.
same thing, or basically telling us that's what's got me very alarmed.
Really, 2 years ago about it.
Tom Boyd?
The fact is, in my analogy earlier, the cancer was discovered many years ago. The unsafe structure notice was issued 2 years ago.
That was May of '22.
And as such, it says on there to fix or demolish.
What was discovered 9 years ago?
So.
2 years ago, and they didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Can't hear.
Okay, we'll call it for,
But be clear about what we're doing right now.
Reread my motion, I
So we
forget.
did the motion already, it was shot down to rescind the resolution.
So now we're on, the next part of the agenda is per Committeeman McNaughton's original motion. Now on the agenda is resolution 2024-53, authorization to award a contract with demolition.
can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
This is to the award contract. I'll second.
Discussion.
Could you put in that motion about possibly trying to find a structural engineer, whether we're successful or not?
Who's responsible for finding the structural engineer?
Huh?
Who is doing that?
Who would be responsible for finding the structural engineer?
Either our administrator or it could be put on your guy.
Now, we're responsible for getting the structural engineer on a short turnaround to fix the building. But if we can't find someone,
You're being paid.
So there was a good suggestion by somebody at the table. Is, if the committee is so inclined, is to do the award, as Mr. Lee stated, but actually task Beach, and
Yes.
with a week, to come in, inspect the building, and then to provide a plan on whether or not it can be saved, and to actually start work on it to stabilize it within 3 weeks. So a week to get here, inspect it, and then 2 weeks after that to actually start the work to stabilize it. And if Beach can't do it, because they already have some institutional knowledge of it, and if they can't do it, I mean, that might be a fair compromise. Because it's not delaying anything, but the committee should be aware that if they do find something and start work to stabilize it, and we have to terminate the demolition contract, we're gonna owe the demolition company up to $53,000.
And it's also opening up the can of worms of what they find when they start that, correct?
Correct. And it would be through a non-fair and open process, so there wouldn't be a bid, there wouldn't be anything, it would be a basically time and material.
That's like saying, here's the check. Go ahead, go knock this down, and let's see what happens with the rest of the building.
Any more discussion?
Who monitored the building? Who monitored the building?
All in please.
Well, the question needs to be asked.
Table the motion, okay. Mr. McNaughton?
Motion to table. I'm sorry, the motion is?
The motion is to authorize the contract for demolition.
But no, I did, wait, I'm sorry. I think he had, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had a motion to amend the motion to do something with the stretch lines.
No, it was just to.
That wasn't a motion.
That was my motion, no one seconded or?
Yeah, we did.
Sorry.
Yeah, we did. What? Oh, not that. Oh, okay.
There was no motion, sorry.
To amend.
No motion to
The
amend.
motion on the floor is for resolution 24-53, authorizing the award of contract for demolition.
Let the residents
Mr.
speak.
Moore made the motion, Ms. Stone seconded the motion, we've had discussion, we're up to roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. McNaught.
No.
Table the
Mr.
motion.
Sprague.
No.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Criminals.
Now, is a motion needed to have, I guess it's right, Brad, would be looking for a structural engineer or have them look at it to see in the next week? Does that require a motion?
My suggestion would be, with that, and you can task Rybrad or you can task Panoni, but Beach Engineering has structural engineers, and they've already been out there and they're somewhat familiar with it from 2 years ago. I would just make a motion to task them on an emergent basis.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, so,
Sorry, so repeat that. I think we just opened another check.
Can we have the motion repeated, please, so I'm clear?
I'm
Mr.
rubbing my
McNaught.
head.
Wait,
I'm not, hang on, I'm not clear yet.
Discussion.
I'm not clear yet. All right, so, I'm gonna try to piece it together because we have theories in the motion and not. So, Mr. McNaught is making a motion pursuant to 4811-6, to award a contract for a non-fair and open process without public advertising for bids, as an emergency has been declared pursuant to the construction official and the township engineer, the emergency affecting the public health and safety and welfare, that requires the immediate delivery of goods or services, to appoint Beach Engineering to appoint Michael A. Beach and Associates LLC, consulting structural engineers, to perform another on-site inspection, and to develop a plan of action. The on-site inspection shall be completed. When do you want to complete it, Mr. McMillan?
I think we have a major comment on that.
Yes. I just spoke to Mike Beach.
Oh, that's good.
He's in
They are
Florida.
very responsive.
He is in Florida. He is willing to come up here next week to take a look at it and develop a proposal to stabilize it. He said it could take 3 weeks to a month to come up with that plan to develop. That's the best I can do. I mean, building ain't gonna fall.
We're back to square one.
That's right, but the last agenda.
So about 3 weeks before anything can be done.
Because he could,
But to be here within a week.
Right,
but
right.
he could also come up here and look at it and say, real quickly, there's no way it can be done too. I think it's worth it to the people that came here.
To the residents.
Got a residents that are so concerned.
What about
It's
the
worth
school
the money that we
buses that
spend
drive
to
by
do
there
that.
every day? Are they
That's
gonna
the
be
last
taking an
thing.
alternate route? You know how many kids go past that intersection every day on a school bus? What was the town's liability if that building falls over?
Well, this isn't stopping the process of the demolition. demolition process has started.
I think we're just.
But the problem is, I think, Noble, we're just reiterating what we just said. It's gonna, then we're gonna stop the demolition, and we're gonna owe the money. That's the problem. We're right back to square one. That's what
Table
I'm
that
thinking.
motion.
Unless I'm wrong.
That's why I'm
Table
getting
the
from it.
resolution.
Then vote the motion down. Plain and simple.
Table the resolution.
Can't take, well, I have a motion. Help me replay it. As per 40A, 11-6.
The committee is going to award an emergency contract to Michael A. Beach and Associate Structural Consulting Structural Engineers to perform an on-site inspection and develop a proposal to stabilize the building. Said proposal to be done within a week, and work to be substantially completed by 3 weeks. Was that the motion? Substantially completed by 3 weeks, as based on the recommendation of the construction official, as well as the township engineer. The committee finds that there is an emergency that affects the public's health, safety, and welfare, and that requires the immediate delivery of goods and services.
Okay, so Mr. McNaughton, you made that motion. Mr. Sprague, you seconded that motion. Discussion on that motion?
I think we just did.
I think we discussed it kind of ahead of it.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Deputy Mayor?
No.
Mayor Hartman?
No.
Now, the next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
How about taking some comments from the public?
Be back in 5
Don't
minutes,
leave,
everyone.
anybody, don't leave, don't leave, nobody should leave. These people have to be held accountable for the terrible, terrible decision-making over the last 3 years, including Mr. Boyd, who never showed up and educated this committee. Laugh all you want.
I had the date, I think it was February or March of 2017. That was the meeting, and that was the second one of the town hall. It was maxed, more chairs, like people had to stay, it was just maxed out. I think they eventually started to really isn't that old now. I did something 9 years ago. It's like, I'm saying 7, we had that fucking 4 max. I'm like, nothing happened to it then. We didn't all see a lot of overflakes down the road.
Call the order of the meeting. Okay. Approval of minutes for February 26, 2024, regular and the second meeting. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Abstain.
Mr. Sprague? Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor Hartman?
Yes. Submission of bills and claims of $2,060,099.49. Get a motion.
So moved.
Second. Anyone second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor Hartman?
Yes. New business orders is first reading introduction to ordinance 2024-2, tree removal replacement ordinance.
I have a question.
Can I just,
Let me read it
can I
first.
explain it
Okay,
real quick?
I'm sorry, go on.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I was given this, ordinance from our township engineer. The state is updating all of the Tier A stormwater management ordinances, and this one, as well as the ordinance 24-3 requirements for privately owned salt storage. We are mandated to adopt this in the form that it is. It's already been, molded for our township.
Molded by who?
So I understand this is a have to.
This is a have to.
I think that this is a perfect, the next two are perfect examples of why we should have workshop meetings, so that we can discuss these rather than come to a first reading. Even though it's a have to, can we make changes?
It is a first reading, so another chance to.
But the thing is, if we had, I understand that. But if we had a chance to discuss this in the workshop, we could talk about possible changes, whether they would be acceptable. But I see many problems with this.
But we have, no more than 2 weeks, we have a workshop, we can discuss this. I know what you're talking about, to start.
Let's do it ass backwards. But anyway, even for this, I saw no exemption for building a house. So someone who's gonna build a house and take down trees, it's gonna cost them a fortune over these figures that are in here.
It was $100 for one, it wasn't per tree, right?
Yes, replant for a tree. 8 trees.
That's a lot of money.
That's how long. For someone who wants to enlarge the backyard to make a basketball court for their kids, or to be able to throw catch for their kids, or to, this could cost people a lot of money. And replacement trees, geez, $350 a tree? It may be mandated, but I tell you, it's wrong.
Is there any, Tom, can there be any changes to it, or that's?
The list of trees is ridiculous.
We can try and propose changes.
I mean, I know Noble does know the tree business, so I know he knows what he's talking
I
about.
would suggest we get through the first reading, so that we can kind of keep it on track, but we can look at proposing changes.
Okay, all right, I'm
The
good with that.
has Southern Red Oak. South Jersey is the northernmost exposure that Southern Red Oak lives in. Southern Red Oak is a southern tree. It's not hence southern. Why isn't northern red oak in here? Which is hardly north of here.
I understand what you're saying, but.
And all these trees, other than the oaks.
Your issue is with DEP. When DEP issues these ordinances that everyone has to adopt, that's when the stakeholders come in to request those changes. It doesn't happen on the committee level, it happens on the state level. The DEP issues the instructions every time they put out revised ordinances. It's not, we can try and go back and make changes to those, but that's where.
Thank you.
That's where the committee should go back to the DEP directly, not through the committee action.
5 of the trees on here are multi-stem trees, they're not shade trees. Private red maple is generally multi-stem, gray birch, multi-stem, American holly is not a shade tree. Sweet bay magnolia, it's a native to this area, but it's not a tree, and it doesn't grow in the sun.
Why don't we just, all we discuss is the next meeting, come up with some ideas and then.
Fine.
Make a motion for 2024-2 introduction to tree removal placement ordinance.
So moved, so we can discuss it at the workshop meeting.
Now, the workshop meeting is not going to be the public hearing, it's gonna be just.
Just discussion, correct.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
No.
Mr. Sprague?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Ms. Mayor Hartman?
Yes. All right, ordinance 2024-3, requirements for privately owned salt storage.
Mr. McNaughton, before that, if you wanna follow up with Mr. Lees and I about any specific changes that you want us to discuss with the DEP in anticipation
The main problem I have is the potential cost.
I can get a motion for 2024-3, privately owned salt storage.
I'll make a motion to that, because I think that's something that we need very badly.
Yes, second?
Second.
All right, roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. All right, old business ordinances, second reading and public hearing, ordinance 2024-1, change of street name. I open up for public comment.
Anybody?
Oh,
I'll make
sorry,
that motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
We can't hear you back here, so you gotta speak up a little louder, we know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, it's the motion to change the name of Hunter's Lane to Eaglesmere, because there was a double street name in Southampton Township as well, and the residents were having trouble with people coming into their house, the ambulance going to the wrong house, that kind of thing.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
This is on the motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor Hartman?
Yes. Would anyone like to make public comment?
On the ordinance.
On the ordinance?
Thank you.
So I need a motion to close the
All
public
right,
hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Someone second it?
Roll
Roll call.
I'm sorry, is that Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-1.
I'll second.
So moved. Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
No.
Consent agenda resolutions.
Excuse me, Mayor, if I may make one, change to the consent agenda. After discussions today with, Mr. Gray from CME and the,
And Beach Engineering.
and the Seneca Reserve HOA, we are going to table, could I have a motion, please, to table 2024-50, until the engineers can talk a little more and get the issues straightened out.
I'll make that motion.
All right, that should be tabled to a specific date, being the workshop.
April, we don't usually do resolutions.
They had to bring it to their attention. That's how it would happen.
All right, so we're gonna table it to April 8th. And Ms. Stone, you made that motion?
Well, yeah. I mean, Noble and I both said at the same time, doesn't matter. Yes, yes.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
You can't vote on it if you have a conflict with Seneca Woods.
All right, 2024-48, authorized refund of ETV, block 320, block 2.2.
It's a violation of the law.
Oh, Mrs.
It's a motion to table, it's a procedural question, we're not taking any action with respect to it.
She still can't vote on it, it's a
Oh,
conflict,
Mrs.
it's
Wilson.
an actual
Please stop,
conflict.
Mrs. Wilson, good morning, please.
Bill, would you like me to abstain from that vote? Am I breaking the
If you
law?
so choose.
I'll abstain, sure.
Okay, can we redo the motion then?
Yes.
Can I have a first on the motion?
Noble, could you indulge us, please, with the motion on that?
Okay.
I thought you made the motion.
I did, I have to rescind it, I
Oh,
live in
okay,
Seneca,
okay,
I'm
I'll
sorry,
make
you
the
got to do
motion.
it again.
I make the motion to, postpone it till the workshop meeting.
The 8th of April. You second. Bill seconded, Mr. Sprague.
I got it.
Okay.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Ms. Stone abstained. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Resolution 2024-48, authorized refund of TBV, lot 320.
Mayor, I think this is on the consent agenda, you can do all of them.
Okay, so, consent agenda, resolution 2024-48, -49, 51, and 52.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Second.
Okay. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the first?
No, we're good. Have a second.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the appointment for public defender. Can you please tell me who you chose? You approved it, but with no saying of, there were two submissions, Mr. Snell and, Mr. Raymond.
It was snow on it. Yeah, snow is good.
Mr. Snell?
Yep. All right, reports. Mary Alice.
All right, my report has been submitted for Oprah and the monthly miscellaneous collections in the amount of $52,192.50. I'm gonna, okay, the budget subcommittee. I would like to start having budget meetings with myself and the finance officer. If I could get 2 committee members to be willing to work on a committee with me, a subcommittee.
Well, that'd be myself and Mr. McNaughton. If he's accepting.
Yeah, fine.
Motion.
Please.
You're gonna do that quickly?
Excuse me?
You're gonna do that quickly?
I would like to.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Someone second it?
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton, I'll call you tomorrow and get some dates worked out with Mr. Haynes and all.
Okay, right now, it's going to have to be really late afternoon, because I'm going to the height of my business. And my manager at 52 years retired last fall. And I have a new one who's very experienced, but you have to learn my business.
You never got to be in.
Who the hell knows?
All right, so that's that. Stagley Court. Last month, we had talked about, because of the Cricket Smell paving, whether or not we could do just the circle portion of Stagley Court. I spoke with the engineer, he got an approximate estimate of $22,000 for this, the circle. We can do that as a change order to the original bid when the time comes. And we'll do a motion to approve that change order when the change order comes through. Do you need a motion now?
How was the township,
We can't hear you.
How is the township paying for that, he said?
it doesn't fall under the scope of the municipal aid project, so we can't make it a change order under what was already approved by.
I will have to review to see if we have a capital ordinance too.
Let's award it first, and we'll get a real quote from the contractor. And if we can do it, they'll give us an aggressive price, we'll look at, and maybe we'll do it as non-participating under the municipal aid.
Okay.
We need a motion to that.
Not yet, just making everyone aware. I do have, and it was in your agenda package this evening, the letter of authorization for Rybread to start the architectural, structural, and MPE engineering services for the first phase of the Tabernacle Municipal Complex. Based on the 8,450 square foot option that was originally approved. The original amount is $585,585, but the township has already paid towards that $45,487, leaving a net fee of $540,098. sign this so
Yes,
that
sounds
Mr.
good.
England can get started?
Get it started.
Get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
No, I'm gonna look at it further.
Mr. Sprague?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Hartman?
Yes.
We received an offer at last month's meeting, if you remember, a school board was donated, to the Field 1 at Patty Boker. After that conversation, we received a letter from Holman Ford, from Vice President Anthony Stone. He has offered to pay for the installation services, and once I get monthly fees, possibly monthly fees, but I haven't been able to obtain that cost yet. So, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Stone.
Mr. Stone.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Stone.
Thank you.
Excuse me, thank you. Isn't that amazing? The firearms, the non-hunting use of firearms ordinance 2007-6. I received a handful of complaints from residents on El Dorado Drive. Apparently, about 2 weeks ago, there was a resident that was target shooting. He was shooting closer, he or she, I'm sorry, were shooting closer than the 450 feet to residences that the ordinance requires, while children were getting off of the school bus. State police were notified. State police told the residents that it is a township issue because we have the ordinance. Residents are reaching out, requesting that we change the ordinance from the 450 feet of an occupied building to 1,000 feet. I also have been notified that our ordinance is already invalid at this time because it says that no person at any time shall use, discharge, fire, or carry any loaded firearm within 450 feet. I have been told that that is no longer a law that you can carry within 450 feet. I have no knowledge of that. I was just told this tonight. So I don't know if committee wants me to look into that and revise this ordinance or how you would like to proceed.
I think
Workshop.
workshop,
Okay.
1,000 feet will never fly.
No. Yeah, we're a hunting community and everything we have, so I think we need to discuss it at a workshop.
Okay.
Because we go by the fishing game rules more than anything.
You can carry on your own property without a carry permit?
Yes, that is correct. I know that for a fact.
And then just one last thing that's not listed here on the agenda, it just recently came up. As I have mentioned in the past, our Public Works Department in Woodland Township is very lean. We have talked before with the finance officer, we purchased the hot box asphalt paver. 40-some thousand? Something like that. And we had said at the time that we could offset the expense by doing shared services with other towns. Woodland is interested in doing a shared service with Tabernacle Township for the use of the hot box and your employee, because Woodland's employees are not trained to use the hot box if Tabernacle employees are. One of our public works employees would of course assist. Is the township interested in proceeding with a shared service? I would work with the finance officer. We would do employees' time, supplies, and then figure out a fair rental rate, a per day rental rate figure for the hot box.
How much?
We're looking at approximately $100 a day. I've been playing phone tag. There's one rental company in the area that rents hot boxes. We've been playing phone tag. But we're estimating at $100 a day.
Can you get?
Just for the use of the box. I'm sorry?
Including the time and the labor and all of that.
Sure. That is all I have, Jeff, ladies and gentlemen.
Still have to.
Would you like me to read her report? 2023 taxes for this month were $118.13. 2024 taxes were $4,124,426.47. Interest is $698.87 for a total collection of $4,125,244.47 for the month of February.
CFO.
No report this evening.
Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I'll be quick. So with the award of the Crickets Mill Phase 2, that will complete the resurfacing of Crickets Mill. We'll issue contracts, schedule pre-construction meeting, have Public Works involved. With that, with what we discussed with Stag's Leap, we'll get a cost to review that circle. I do have two proposals on the agenda. One is for engineering study for a traffic study for Old Indian Mills Road and Hawken Road, for a total of $8,350.
If I can jump in, that is the four-way stop that we had talked about before at Hawkins and Indian Mills to try and stop some of the traffic. Committee was interested in doing it. At the time, we weren't aware that DOT was gonna require a traffic study. We have since found out they do.
I'm with it. May anyone else go with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion for it?
A motion to do the traffic study and put a four-way stop sign?
Yeah. Just do the traffic study.
Just to do the traffic study?
Yeah.
Motion to do a traffic study for Hawkins Road intersection, multi-way intersection.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed $8,350.
Can I get a second?
So moved, or second.
Roll call.
Mr. McDonough?
Yeah.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have one other proposal. It was mentioned earlier today, we did receive $217,600 for the Hawken Road for fiscal year 2024 for the DOT. This is a proposal to do the engineering services, which includes surveying, design, and putting it out to bid. I don't have a schedule on that yet, because we haven't approved the proposal, but we'll do the survey, put the design plans together, submit it to DOT, get their approval, and then we'll put it out to bid. So I would say fall-ish, depending on how we get a response from DOT.
Okay.
That fee would be in the amount of $38,250.
Is that, Tom, is that going to include all the water issues that
We're gonna
everyone's
try to
having there?
address it, this is only for resurfacing.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to do what we can with asphalt. This doesn't include drainage work, because it's only, municipal aid only covers asphalt.
What,
But if you do the asphalt without the drainage work.
exactly, it's gonna make a bigger
It's
problem.
gonna
It's gonna
The
be a
drainage
bigger
work
problem.
the drainage
Yeah.
work is the fact that the drains don't go anywhere, so this,
Yeah.
we can't make this do something that's not
So
meant.
you put all these catch basins in along Hawkins Road 2 years ago that go absolutely nowhere, that don't work efficiently because they're all set at different elevations that are too low. They were already known that they were too low. And that whole road has to be completely re-engineered, raised to get the water to go where it has to go.
Let's finish up our concession here.
No, I understand that, but I'm.
Sir, please stop.
Oh, okay, you're throwing me out too, right?
Yes.
Yep, I know. Good job.
Okay. Yeah, any more?
Just approve it.
So we get a motion. Can we get a motion for approval? Adam, do you?
I'm concerned about the drain part of it, because if you do the asphalt and then the water is going anywhere, and then it could come up again, and then you have
Is there
a
any way we
road
could-
that has water problems and can crack again.
Is there a way to put engineering?
But I'm not an engineer, so I don't know,
For,
you
the
know.
drainage?
I know they just did it, Tom, but we'd have to do another whole study, right? But if it's not working, what are you gonna do? Because it's running off of
Yeah,
people's
it's-
homes. I just don't wanna create a bigger problem.
I put, I was only keeping it to the construction management, this was done by Guzzi and CME. The contract was already let when I came on board, so the only conclusion was on the design.
Understood.
And no one stopped this.
Oh, I'm sorry, please.
No one stopped. Stop, please. He was already under contract by the time we came in, so there was no way to stop.
Your engineer knew it was wrong when they were putting it in.
Sir, please stop. Brian, please stop.
He has the right to speak freely.
But you can't just do that.
You swore an oath to protect his right to speak freely.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Mine too. You swore a right to protect that right.
All right, please, sir, Mr. McDonald is speaking.
How much do you think it would cost to re-engineer that drainage?
Well, I don't know what we're talking about. We talking about resetting the inlets? What are we talking about?
I don't know, you
These
know.
are catch basins, which all they do is collect water and infiltrate it in the ground.
Right,
So I don't know what anybody's talking about re-engineering this.
Meaning, like, can we get it to drain off anywhere?
Or, I don't know if there's any
But
place other
I
than
guess
Davis
it's-
Yard.
yeah.
Can those drainage, can those basins be made bigger?
They can be made bigger, they can be lowered, but all it's gonna do is just collect more water. That's the, I mean,
Rainwater.
we can look at it, I don't know what.
That's the point.
Let me approve the proposal, I'll serve it, and then we'll see what, if that'll catch the information from the.
I think it would help if you could kind of get an idea of what.
Well, like I
might
said,
help.
the survey will catch the grades of the catch basins and the down measurements. So we'll have the information on the system, and we'll look at against the design plans for the drainage, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Should we, Mr. Mayor, should we hold off on this until maybe another month? Well, heard another month for the grant?
If you don't approve me the survey, then I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can approve it, and you can survey it before it gets started.
It's a catch basin.
All right, can we get a motion?
To approve the $30,250 for.
Well, we gotta get started to where we can get it surveyed. I mean, we're at a standstill. Yes, I'll make the motion.
Okay, can we get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Nothing? EMS? No. Fire chief?
Parts included within the packet,
Okay.
not chief of the town,
Okay.
still inside the packet.
All right, Recreation Director, and the report, Public Works Director.
The Public Works report is in the packet. There is also a letter from OSHA that the Public Works had an inspection. They had had some serious hazards identified back in January. Public Works rectified all of the issues and we had a clean bill of health.
All right. Committee reports, Mr. McLaughlin,
I'm all talked out.
Mr. Sprague.
I second
All right, Mr. Moore.
I third that.
All right, Deputy Mayor.
I have a couple things. I did, if there's any parents of kids in here in the school system, I did compose a letter to Governor Murphy addressing, just as a template that you can use, edited as you see fit, addressing the budget cuts, because I know parents, administrators, teachers, they're all very concerned about the budget cuts across the state, not just in our town, how it's gonna affect the education. To make it easier, I feel like, what do I do? I composed a letter now, and Mary Alice will put it on the website, you can copy and paste it, you can add what you want to it, make it, personalize it, make your own, it has his email address. You know, you can fax it, you can email it, you can snail mail it, whatever you choose, so there's that, and then the other thing, a couple quick things, and then I'll do the subcommittee report. We're doing a socks for soldiers.
Can we go back a little bit now to, that needs to go on the website.
Oh, okay, committee, can somebody, would somebody mind that going on the website? The school, the letter, right, that's whatever, yeah, okay.
Can I get a second?
Are you okay with that?
Second.
All right, roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the
About having the lawyer
No.
review it.
Can I, okay, so I make a motion to put a sample letter to the governor addressing the budget cuts for the school on the website. Can I get a Mr. Moore?
Second, I second.
Did the
Mr.
attorney
McNaughton?
review it?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
And nobody reviewed it. There's
I
no
saw- I-
review. Mr. Burns did not review that
I
letter.
saw the letter,
Noble saw it.
yeah.
Sam saw it.
So what?
Mark saw it.
So what?
Everybody saw it, parents saw it, I've already shared it across so many places, I'm just making it easier for parents. Really, Fran? I'm making it easier, so that a mommy.
You are on township committee,
So
not
then-
on the board of
so
ed.
then a
Not on
mommy
the board
can
of
have
ed.
it
You
nice
should
and
be
easy
doing
for her,
their
so she
bidding.
doesn't have to come up with the word, so,
Alright, next thing on the agenda.
seriously,
Oh, no, seriously.
seriously.
No, we're staying till the end.
Okay, so there's that. Socks for soldiers, we're collecting, meaning me, in conjunction with Senator Tiber. One of the most requested items from service members are socks, just to keep them comfortable. So if you have any new socks, drop them off the Township building, you can drop them off at, the 8th District Legislation Office in Elmwood Business Park in Marlton. And I'll get them to where they need to go. So if you can participate in that, that would be great. Any new socks, male, female, they don't have to be government issued, they can be normal socks from Walmart, colors, patchy face on them, whatever you like. So there's that. Mary Alice, we should put that on the website. Can I get a motion to put that on the website? I'd like to motion to put socks for soldiers on the website. Can I get a second?
website is really
Well, it's a,
used for
it's
advertising,
so people,
good cause and all that.
well, where are you gonna put it to get information out to the public when people use the internet?
Anywhere on the internet? No,
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so I, thank you. So I have your second?
Yeah, it's for soldiers. It's a good cause.
Mr. McNaughton?
No,
I'm sorry?
no.
Mr. Sprague?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, new building report. So now that we have the letter of authorization, done, then Rye Red can now go ahead and consult with several consultants that need to be engaged. And you have them on standby, correct? You have them on standby, so that's great. At the previous committee meetings, committee agreed upon in principle the approximately 500 square foot plan option. Architects have been working on minor refinements to the plan as far as whose office is going where, required room sizes, layout, adjacencies, who's sitting next to who, that receptacles, that sort of thing. The mechanical
Who approves that? What committee member approves that?
approves what?
That where offices is going where?
Well, they consult with the people who are using the space. So let me get through this and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay? We'll get back to it. So the refinements in place, the mechanical and electric rooms, they've been shown, you know, preliminarily, but, we have to get the architect sub-consultants engaged to make sure that they're workable with the equipment. So mechanical rooms with HVAC and whether they're mini splits or rooftops and if it's feasible, what's on there. But we couldn't do that until we had this letter of authorization so he can engage the sub, contractors. So there's 6 project phases to, a building like this. And the first is pre-design, we've done that. What is it? It's a municipal building, it's got 25 employees, we need 6 offices, that kind of thing, whatever that reality is. Then, what the phase that we're in now is for, schematic design. So that's where you come up with a floor plan that suits the needs and, it's the basis of what's moving forward to function. The layout, the sizes of the offices, the bathrooms, the closets, consulting with the users of the building. Preliminary budgets, which have been posted before, and what's gonna take us to step 3, which is design development, is meet with the committee, that's us, go through it. Is this what we want? How do we want it? Then we get the building of elevations, and the 3D views done. Then that's when they'll be developed and presented. So that's about 60% done, and the other 40% is all of that tweaking. Phase 3 is design development. That phase is where we further design the schematics and start imposing structural systems. How are we building it? Is it going to be structural steel, wood trusses, metal studs, concrete blocks, along with the mechanical, the plumbing, electrical systems, you know, how many units, IAQ, quality, HVAC systems and whatnot. Fourth phase is the construction documents. The first, there's two different types. So there's the full set of drawings, that's where every little thing is on there, including the site work development, that's on those drawings on 30 by 42 inch paper. That goes along with a second set of docs, which is called the project manual. That's what will go out in a full bulk of 8.5 by 11 specs that go out to public bid. And then that'll have all the bidding requirements on it in those docs. That takes a chunk of time. On average, the construction documents will take several months to complete, depending on the Pinelands approval notes. So Pinelands is gonna send us back notes on what we have to do to please them. Is that correct? Right, yeah. Phase 5 is building and negotiation. Bidding and negotiation, I'm sorry. That's where we put the project out to bid. That's the lowest responsible bidder is the legal term for that. It's the lowest bid that meets the criteria, and that's who gets the job. The 6th phase is construction administration. This is where, we all exponentially start to age more. It's the actual construction of the building and the site. So we build the building, we start to break ground. That's gonna take 8 to 14 months. So the determining factor on that, if you recall all of the switches and the things with Ford and the automotive business is the supply chain issues. So there's supply chain issues with electrical switch gears and transformers that could take 10 to 12 months. So that's where that time will come in. It doesn't mean it stops until they come in. You can keep rolling along, but that is something that does take time. It takes 1 or 2 months alone to get the submittals together to even order the switches, the switch gear and the transformers. So that's it for the phases of the building. For next month, I have for the initial phase of the new municipal project timeline, I did direct Rybread to have that ready for April's meeting, a real timeline, which he's agreed to do. And the subcommittee, of course, will continue to meet with them on a regular basis, meeting Rybread and Pannoni to review the progress and put presentations out there for you to, stay in the loop on that.
Have we heard anything back from Pinelands?
Yes, we did. So what do we hear from Pinelands? They acknowledge receipt of the application, and it's gonna tentatively be on May's agenda with a potential approval for the June meeting.
So, okay.
Their June meeting. Their June meeting. Their agenda in May. Is there anything you wanna add to that? Was that
The building?
Yeah.
No, I think that was.
the building report?
It was a global view of the process.
So here's my question to the subcommittee. The original floor plan, who approved that?
You guys did.
No.
You all did. Yes, you
No,
did.
no, stop. We were given, you and I, a sheet of paper to put down in front of us.
Who voted to approve it?
That's right. Who talked with the architect to develop that point?
The floor plan that you guys voted on,
Yes, we voted on it, yes.
that was me, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Hartman. That was the subcommittee that was in place last year.
Okay, then that one was scrapped, okay?
That was the 12,000 square foot.
Right, and then was the township charged the second drawing?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that the subcommittee screwed up.
No, at the time, we thought we were doing a $15 million building.
Exactly, but it was not brought to the committee.
That's right,
It was not
that's
brought
right,
to the town.
that's right. We raised those questions.
And we discussed in our committee that it was gonna be too big, so we had to downsize.
Now, what happened is, I know it happened to me. Here's Plan B, what do you think? Backwards, okay?
It's just a footprint.
It was developed by Mr. Moore, you, to the architect. There was no committee involvement.
Yeah, it was, because I remember Noble, when I come up, he actually I remember him saying during that,
Yeah.
he
When it comes to
liked it
drawings.
because we took some of it off.
Yes, exactly. I said the same thing. We didn't need a courthouse in Plan A, okay? We both
Because
said
of the
that.
money, because we seen the
Exactly.
cost of it, so that's why.
So
he
the
failed it.
conversation went on between you and the architect. It was not the town, it was not full committee, it was you two guys.
Well, that's what the subcommittee does and gets brought back to the committee for approvals, but you approved it.
We're going round and round. My point is that this, committee does not involve the town whatsoever. Nothing. Whether it's, I could name a half a dozen things. Extended video, video conference. You wanted to take it 6 more months when we stopped it. The 2-minute rule. It's just so many things that go on that the town is not involved in. I asked for a year, what's going on with the building? These people here know as much as I do, and I'm sitting at the table. So there is a real breakdown into what information is getting disseminated. You put out information tonight, that's great, but there's a lot of conversation that's went on to reach that point.
Right, and so
And
here
it-
we are,
and
so
it-
we can't undo the past, right?
We could just cement it into record.
Yeah,
Thanks.
exactly. You're, everything's fine.
Great.
You guys like wearing orange.
Resolution 24-53, resolution of the Township of Tabernacle authorizing the Township Committee to go into closed session. Whereas the Township of Tabernacle hereinafter the Township is subject to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the Act, which requires that its meetings be open to the general public, and whereas Section 10:4-12 of the Act permits the Township Committee to go into closed session, which is not open to the general public, for certain limited purposes enumerated in that section. And whereas the Township Committee hereby desires to adopt this resolution to go into closed session at this time in order to, number 8, discuss any matter involving the appointment, termination, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance of any specific prospective or current public officer or employee of the township related to the resignation of the fire marshal. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and township committee have determined to enter into closed session for the reasons articulated above immediately after passage of this resolution. This resolution shall be kept on file for public inspection in accordance with statutory provisions. Be it further resolved that minutes of said meeting shall be made available for disclosure to the public consistent with NJSA 10:4-13 when the items which are the subject of the closed session discussion are resolved in a reasonable confidentiality no longer exists.
Get a motion to executive session?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Why are there secrets? Can we hear you?
So, can I get a motion?
Speak up, please.
You need to speak up.
I have a motion to go into executive session.
Can I get a second?
Oh, more secrets.
So, there's a second.
All right, roll call?
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Spratt?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Was that short?
Do you have a time estimate? Do you have a time estimate how long you'll be in closed session?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Do you have a time estimate how long you'll be in closed session?
Depends on how long they discuss the decision that has to be made.
What's your estimate? What's the estimate? Unresponsive government, maladministration, we're the best at it. You can't wait out in public, what's the estimate?
Yeah. What you
We
do
thank
is
you for our
grab-
Republican form of government.
Can't take it.
Well, they can go in there and tell everyone leaves, and they come out and take action.
Right. You see what I'm up against? You see what I'm up against?
How ordinary or extraordinary?
I like the guy.
Never before has there been I don't know, it's good or bad. Motion to come out of executive session? Hello? Hello, my please. Executive session.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague? Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
All right. I have another comment, now.
Yes.
Will,
What time
could
did they go
you
into closed
contact
session?
the county since Medford Lakes Road is a county road about late T-shore because of all the school buses that go right past the building?
No, there's not leaning.
It's leaning towards Medford Lakes Road.
Unless we shore it up.
Do you want a potential closure, or just, you want a closure, a full closure of the road?
Can't close this county road. That's why she said to
That's
call the
why I
county.
said to call the
She
county.
said to call the
All right, we
county.
really need to stop this interruption.
I know, we really do.
You want the county to examine closing the entire road until the building's either secured or demolished?
Well, I don't know if closing it is necessary,
What's
or
our
if
option?
detour is enough. I don't know if a detour is enough for closing it, but if you're saying, if he's saying it could fall on Medford Lakes Road, and there's, you know, all those school buses that go down it,
I will follow up with the county engineer.
thank you.
Executive session.
Contact the
Resolution
county
2025.
about the drainage, but you're contacting the
Okay.
county about the damn buses. This is amazing.
Mrs. Brooks, please
Hey,
stop.
throw me out.
Then,
Yes,
officer,
throw me out.
Please.
Actually, you can't come here, you can't throw me out. It's illegal for you to do it. Don't do
violation of
it. It's a
individual
public
natural
meeting.
rights.
It's a public forum. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm advising you not to throw me out. It's not a good idea.
Calm down, please.
Can't do it.
All right, so we need a
Don't do it. You'll hear from my attorney.
All right, so motion 2024-54 is accepting the resignation of the fire marshal and appointing Ernie Bogley, our fire inspector, in the position of fire marshal at a salary of $5,701.
So that motion. I second. No. I second.
roll call.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. All right, adjournment.
So moved.
Aye.
Aye.